What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the Project Manga Podcast, where we cover One Piece, My Hero Academia, Black Clover, Chainsaw Man, Mashle, and Jujutsu Kaisen week to week. Back this week covering Weekly Shonen Jump issue number 45. I'm your host for tonight, Noxie.
What up, y'all? It's Kiko.
And Nickums.
And as you can see, Eagle is absent tonight. This is actually a very rare occurrence for him, but he is all tied up with some personal stuff tonight, but he will be back by the next episode, I'm sure. But before we get into the discussion tonight, of course, we would like you to take a look at the link down in the description. That's going to be our link tree, which is going to show you all of our other social media accounts, online communities, including Discord, other ways to consume the Project Manga Podcast on the audio-only platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, ways to support the Project Manga Podcast if you feel so inclined, including our Patreon, which if you visit will show you a slew of tiers that will give you various additional content, ranging from early access to all of our content all the way over to a completely separate Weekly Shonen review show, where we cover all of the other titles that we don't cover from Weekly Shonen Jump on this show. Also down there is going to be timestamps so that you can skip spoilers for the manga that you are not current in. Those will also be down in the description as well. But yeah, man, it's kind of weird doing that intro. It always sounds so much more complete when he does that. But with all that being said, I think is what he says.
Yes.
How did you guys feel about this week in Jump? Yeah. I hit everything, didn't I?
No,
I did everything, right? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I think I got everything. If not, Eagle will tell.
Now you missed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, wow. Man.
It's really, a lot happened, but at the same time, it didn't feel like a lot, right? Like,
Yeah.
It was just like
it was very direct.
There were
It
big
was
chapters,
very
direct.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Definitely feels like a lot happened, but like from a conversational standpoint, I don't know exactly how much we will have to talk about multiple manga this week, but we'll see what we got.
Right.
We'll see what we
always
got in the bag.
Hero,
yeah, we always got Hero at the very least. Yeah. But yeah, man. Okay, so let's just jump into it. Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 125, and I'm pretty sure
the title is about that girl.
It is
out
not,
of the Shibuya incident.
I don't know if we.
It's true. We could go back
to
the Shibuya
but I think
incident. It's very unorthodox to do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then go away, then go back to like 7, 8, 9, whatever. That's very strange. So
yeah, that is very
probably
strange.
Out of it. That's weird though. When did you go back to the? We're back already at the end of the chapter.
I think it'll go back.
Incident, so.
I think the only reason why it's called something different is because like 99% of the chapter is a flashback. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But I don't think there have been any other chapters like that in Shibuya. So
I don't know if there's ever been a chapter like this, like a title like this ever. Like Goodwill Event X amount, and then just whatever. And Origin of Obedience.
It's always been just parts.
Yeah, exactly. And there's never been like I can't remember ever a time where all of a sudden the title like theme breaks to some special, hey, this is gonna be all flashbacks, so we're just gonna name it something different, which is cool. It's fine. Like I don't. Hey, like that's one thing that surprisingly I don't hear any like slander about. Like we're just not gonna name the titles or not gonna name the chapters. Like I never hear that on Twitter, and I'm totally fine with it. So I don't think that's something that should be slandered. But you know how toxic Twitter is, so it's like I expected to see that at least. You can't even name your chapter titles. What's up with it? But whatever. I'm fine with it. Definitely.
I mean, there's so many manga that just do chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Like it's not a big deal. It's kind of cool if you don't do that. It's cool if you have some special name for your chapter. But I would not be surprised if after this chapter we do not go back to Shibuya incident. It will be like Shibuya Aftermath Part 1. You know what I mean? Something, because it's like I don't know.
That means that the rest of the event is like probably like wrapped up in the next chapter.
Or in a few, consecutive chapters or whatever. But like,
but I mean, like if it's not the aftermath yet, is like the Shibuya would have to like conclude,
or maybe not aftermath, but I don't know, M.A.N.G.A.
Yeah,
I don't know,
M.A.N.G.A. Shibuya, the Shibuya Endgame. But yeah, man, I don't know.
Act 2, and then the shamisen comes in.
Wow. But yeah, man, this chapter was some shit, bro. Okay, so I mean, before we get into like the super like weird stuff, this flashback, I love young Nobara. She's such a like a man. I'm trying to think of
like a shonen MC.
No, yeah, definitely like a shonen MC, but like also like she just reminds me of like, I don't know, like Punky Brewster. You know what I'm saying? Like those like, you know, really like tough like tomboy like young chicks from like, you know, the old school TV shows.
That's way too old of a reference probably for most of our audience.
Yeah, you're right. But she's just such a little fucking
like
badass.
80s show,
Yeah, she's just such a little fucking badass, dude. And she's out here punking kids for their backpacks, you know what I'm saying? In here playing fucking Super Smash Brothers, like I love it. I absolutely love it.
How about, did you guys notice that Fumi looks exactly like Shin-chan? Like,
yes.
She's just Shin-chan. The whole fucking, this is Shin-chan.
Every single fucking panel is Shin-chan.
Every time. Especially the one where she's sweating.
The one where I literally just went back to
Give
that
me
one to
backpack.
look at it. Yeah. She super looks like Shin-chan too in page 7. Top right panel.
Yeah. Just basically every time until she gets to the very end and she's, you know, older
or whatever.
But it's cool. It's cool getting more of Nobara's like you know, history kind of like fleshed out. This is what we've been waiting for, you know, in Jujutsu Kaisen as far as like main trio development. So like it's really cool to get this background flashed out. I definitely do empathize with Fumi and Nobara and even Sayori's like relationship. As someone who like kind of like where I lived in my like area, I was like 18 years old and I would be like skateboarding, you know what I'm saying, like up and down my street or whatever. And then these little kids that lived like 3 or 4 houses down from me that were like literally like 7 years difference in age from me, like would come skate with me, you know what I'm saying? So I had like this little gang of like chibi skateboarder baby time kids, you know what I'm saying? Like so I like totally
Sopu and his pirate crew.
Yeah. So I totally relate, you know, to the situation with Sayori and Nobara and Fumi. So like that was really fucking cool to just to see Nobara stuff, dude. It's like how long have we been asking for it? And it's a pretty like well written, like it seems like it's just like a day in the life of these like boring ass people, but like considering how long it's been that we've had Nobara before getting this, it makes it like seem like not as, it's like I care so much about this person that I could literally do a whole chapter, multiple chapters of this background of this girl hanging out at her cubicle, you know what I'm saying? And like Nobara just being a kid and like, you know, in school, there's no like significant like plot referencing things that are obvious, you know, like from the history of the series that we're finding inside of this flashback, at least not in any way that I could see in like the 2 times that I read the chapter. But you know, I mean, you never know with fucking manga, like a deeper dive into it, you might see some like crazy shit. I feel like this one panel at the end of the flashback or towards the end of it on chapter 15 is symbolism to some degree, with her standing, you know, in this empty ass room with all of these chairs. Maybe maybe that symbolizes like how disconnected she feels from, or she felt from everyone, you know, like in her village. And then like this is maybe like a representation of how she felt when she was first leaving the village and coming back to the city, until the next page shows all of the friends that she made and then the bubbles that said, or so I thought. So like she wasn't as alone as she thought she would be until she came here and met all of these people. So
that's how I took it too. And another thing that so last chapter I was assuming Fumi was Saori, right? Like we didn't know who Saori really was, you know, we didn't know that Fumi was not Saori. Like that's who we assumed it to be. We didn't see Saori yet, so like getting
if you reference like the opening, then you like see like Nobara like standing in front of like a taller like brown haired like girl that like people speculated was Saori, like I guess. But like personally, I definitely thought it was Fumi too until I actually saw Saori. But I did just want to throw that out there that people did think that was there. And actually, you want to know what? We got Sayori's silhouette, not silhouette, but like a really low detail drawing of her earlier in the series. I just remembered right now, and she looks like she does in this chapter. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely didn't remember that.
Yeah, and, I literally just randomly remembered that.
It's so like, without really like talking about the end of the chapter yet, these characters, Fumi and Saori. I mean, Saori is this is present time. Like she's in her cubicle right now. The same time Nobara is fighting. You know, Shibuya.
They reference there's like things going down in Shibuya.
I wonder if it's terrorists over here in Shibuya. So like, I would assume she's more like maybe like a downtown Tokyo, because Shibuya is like kind of on the outskirts a little bit. Like Tokyo's so densely populated.
Yeah, it's
right?
huge.
Like
Tokyo's huge. Yeah.
So wait, these Sayori pages are present time?
Yeah, present time. Yeah.
Okay.
In the office.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
I was like, damn, there was another Shibuya incident before this.
Well, and wondering how close she actually is to Shibuya. You know, like it's hard to say that this aftermath or whatever all the chaos that's going in Shibuya spills out into other areas after. I highly doubt it, since we already had Sukuna just wipe out fucking Shibuya pretty much. Like, because I don't think anything's going to be bigger than that. But it just seems like, okay, yeah, we got this flashback here. But why, did we have to look at Saori's present day? Like, what's going on with her present time? Like, I feel like there's got to be importance to this. Something that's going to happen. And I mean, Fumi too. Like, Fumi feels like, okay, since we don't get a present day shot of her, that she. Another thing, maybe back up a little bit, is that you don't see how Nobara becomes a Jujutsu sorcerer, right? Like, she's a regular ass girl, goes to Tokyo, and all of a sudden she's Jujutsu sorcerer. Like, we have no idea how where the connection is.
Yeah, because they skip like a couple years in between when they're kids, and then when she's like growing up, leaving, and then she's walking off the train to go meet Gojo and Megumi and Yuji.
Yeah, you assume, okay, this is why this was my out away from, this fucking rural village. Is I became a Jujutsu sorcerer, so now, they're paying for me to go to Tokyo, school, whatever. And she's like, you figure out your way out. To me, that felt like Fumi also is going to become some kind of Jujutsu sorcerer, or maybe like a vengeful cursed spirit or something. Yeah. She's got to come into the story. I think at some point, just because of that dialogue. Like find your way out too. Right. So
there was there was really interesting to me, like some subtle dialogue in this flashback. That might hint to how did Nobara become a Jujutsu sorcerer. So, like, let me see if I can find it exactly. But Nobara was talking about why they moved here. So
there's a lot of text in this.
A lot of text in here. So, geez, I feel like she said, like, my mom is into organic stuff and spirituality.
Thought that was Fumi saying that. Maybe.
Was that Fumi who said that?
I think Fumi is narrating this whole thing, isn't she?
Yeah, Fumi's narrating. Yeah, and Nobara was already in the village.
Yeah.
Nobara like just was presumably born here or grew up here or whatever. Okay,
that's what I took it. Yep.
But another piece, right? So they go to Saori's house a lot or whatever. They hang out occasionally or whatever. And then there's this stuff about the place Saori's house was vandalized, graffiti, trash. They piled up snow in front of it intentionally. Like, was Saori's family or Saori a Jujutsu sorcerer? You know what I mean? And the town is superstitious and like was like, get out. You know what I mean? Like, we don't like you doing your witchcraft here or whatever, right?
Yeah, I felt the same thing. Because like, I don't know. Nobara obviously really was really attached to Saori, like more so than Fumi was, right? And so, like, I don't know. Maybe just Nobara's, maybe it's innate, whatever. Her, like, she just has a passive ability that's going to, urge her towards being a Jujutsu sorcerer, which would be weird. Like, you hear so much about Jujutsu sorcerer families, right? And obviously you got the big three, but there's like all these other sub families, too, that presumably exist and whatnot. And there's a little bit of confirmation of that. Not like we haven't gone too in depth from that, but yeah, just Nobara having this affinity or whatever of being one. Like maybe there was something she picked up on from Saori that made her feel that way. But it's just weird that now Saori, is, an office worker at this point, but yeah, I took it as the same way too. It just made me feel like, the ghetto girls kind of similar, but they just didn't, imprison them and beat them like that, presumably, because if they are jujutsu sorcerers and they are actually already skilled at it, they're not just about to get beat up and put in a, like those girls where they didn't really know what their powers were and whatnot. So,
or like another like piece of this subtle lore of this village or whatever, right? Yeah. This is page 5. Fumi is narrating like why that Nobara didn't like the people in the village, and then there was like, several years later, an old lady from the neighborhood brought red bean rice to celebrate my womanhood. At that moment, I think I understood what made Nobara feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I hope so.
That was
make anybody feel uncomfortable.
Well, the red bean rice stuff, like that definitely sounds like a Japanese tradition, right? Like they eat special foods to celebrate all these special, seasons and benchmarks in your life or whatever. But could it actually be that like the village itself has a lot of jujutsu sorcerers that do like traditional Japanese traditions that like tie into their magic or something? Like Nobara has a voodoo doll, right? Like what's so Japanese about a voodoo doll, right? Like so presumably there's like also Japanese like specific jujutsu techniques, right? So I don't know. It's like what is so crazy about that? Oh, this lady brought red beans or whatever. Like, was it part of a ritual of some kind?
Yeah,
I took it much more literal than that. I took it that the village is so small that you can't even hide when you begin your menstruation cycle.
Sure.
And that this old lady who is whatever, a neighbor presumably, heard her mom say, "Hey, is my daughter, whatever, like it's her time basically." And it's like it's and bringing the red bean rice
it's like super embarrassing, I'm sure, for the young girl or whatever, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why it makes it so embarrassing. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it made me uncomfortable to read. So like that's what I'm saying. Everybody should be uncomfortable with something like this.
Sure.
And it's like, did it have to be red bean rice? Can we pick a different food, please? Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's just super cringy. Like for you to get that, that's
some fucking like Carrie shit. Remember the fucking Carrie movies?
Yeah, that's drenched in blood.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
No, you could totally be right that it's just like less trying to think of some like weird connection to the current stuff. More just like, it was creepy. It was a weird small village. It was not what everyone is into, right?
The series is just giving us more reasons to understand why Nobara hated this place.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's definitely like her main complaint. As soon as you meet her character, like, I'm tired of this country ass shit. Where the city at? You know what I'm saying? Like that's like her whole character basically. So it makes sense to see reasons why in the flashback. Yeah,
right. So you're saying we know Sayori's hair color? Is that true? We definitely know Sayori's hair color?
No, we don't. Well, I mean, if that's Sayori, which we can assume it's Sayori in the anime PV, or I mean in the anime opening, then I'm pretty sure she's like light colored hair. I think I remember it being like brown or maybe like a really like a dirty blonde or something like that. But then like, I swear, I don't know what chapter it is. I want to say it's chapter like 45. We get like an outline of like Sayori, and it's not like a full like silhouette where it's like blacked out, but it's just like a really low detailed, like far away like picture of her, like small, and her hair is still like colored, I think. Okay. But it's really like man, it's right there. Like I promise you. Like,
the reason I ask is because on page 7, where you first see her face, I was like, oh, she looks like Gojo.
Oh, shit.
Like a pretty, super big eyes, pretty. And if she has white hair, then it'd be like, I just feel like she looks like when Gojo first took off the blindfold, right? Beautiful eyes and like pretty boy face. He looks like Sayori looks here. But of course, I could just see the art style, right? So it's hard to really draw too much conclusions from that.
Some people think that Sayori is related to Yuki. Because like
that's what I thought too.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, you thought Yuki?
I think they look. Yeah, exactly. I think they look exactly the same.
I think I just remember people talking about that like in the group chat a little bit earlier.
It still would be weird to have one of the 4 special grade sorcerers to be related to somebody who's going to an office to work. Like it's really hard to like piece this puzzle together if there is a puzzle even to be pieced here.
I'm like scrambling in the dark for like pieces. Like is this related to something? You know what I mean? I'm trying.
Yeah,
definitely.
But there could be nothing here,
It could, it could literally just be like information about Nobara's like past.
But I totally agree. with what you were saying, Kiko, why even show Saori in this office in present day time or whatever? What is the point? Like, why narratively do you show this situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does Nobara actually does have like straw dolls like what's his name in One Piece, right? Basil, right? Like, and Saori is one of the dolls, and she's gonna die, you know, like in her office right now. Like what is the point of showing her? You know what I mean? I'm so confused.
Yeah. I have, maybe it's to show, because obviously Nobara and Fumi like looked up to Sayori a lot. Mm-hmm. And maybe like showing this like present day Sayori. She has like a little line of dialogue here that says, "I bet they'd be so disappointed seeing what a boring person I am now." Yeah, maybe that's just to, I don't know, add a depressing, an even more like depressing like film over like the situation. Like the girl that you looked up to like is just a boring person. Like, you know what I mean? Like you look, you know, you aspired to like kind of like you idolize this person to a certain degree, and like you're out here living the life of an action hero. And she's in a fucking cubicle.
So I found the dialogue I was talking about earlier. Like, my mom is into organic stuff and spirituality. That was Saori. Saori moved to town, and her mom was into spirituality, which to me, even hinting that you're into spirituality is a high likelihood that you're talking about jujutsu sorcerers, right? You know what I mean? Like,
bro, yo, what if the straw doll is made of Sayori's hair?
Yo, that would actually be wild.
Yo, that would be so.
But I would not be surprised if Saori taught Nobara.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's kind of like where I was about to go. Yeah, like, Sayori is like the link to the Jujutsu world, and this is like maybe like a maybe we're supposed to think of Nanami here in this situation. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So like, so Sayori was a Jujutsu sorcerer for, I don't know, X amount of time maybe, and then quit to go like work a cubicle job like Nanami did, and then like now she's like scratching and itching, like thinking back to like her time as a jujutsu sorcerer, and like thinks about Nobara, like, yo, like you're gonna take my hair, make this straw doll. This is all the occult shit that I'm teaching you, because there's
she saw this little girl, and she realized that she had jujutsu energy or whatever. So she's like, maybe I'll teach you some things or whatever, right? Like, there's this whole world that you'll never learn of in this village. You're cooped up in this village. You're never gonna learn this stuff. And then someone found out about this small town. Okay, kick these, you know.
Wait, because Sayori has shorter hair in the present than she does in the flashback.
Yeah.
Yo,
is that relevant to something?
I mean, the straw doll's made of her hair.
Oh, this is 7 years.
You have plenty of time to grow that multiple times.
No, her hair is short in the.
You grow it, you cut it, you grow it.
Sure. Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to make it make sense now.
Yeah. Did either of you like think that like this editor or whoever she's talking to could possibly be Fumi? Like, I don't think so, but it's like, she's dark haired. She's, you know, it really wouldn't make sense because
she says they'd be so disappointed.
Yeah, and you know, she's significantly, you know, Fumi is significantly younger than Saori, so it's like it's really unlikely. But that's why I was like, no, that can't be. But like when I initially saw it, I was like,
dark haired girl.
Yeah, there we go. Looks like Shin-chan. No, she doesn't.
But wow, man, coming back after the flashback, like going into it, because like it's like, man, it's like I still strongly believe that Nobara is not dead here, but Gege really set this up as this character is dead send off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Tell everybody it wasn't so bad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the flat, you know, thinking of everybody, you know, in the chairs, you know, like Maki, Toge, Panda, you know what I'm saying? Like, just seeing everybody, then seeing Fumi, you know what I'm saying? Like, sitting in the chair, like.
I think
all of these empty chairs
would have exploded, right?
Oh yeah, I feel, dude. Honestly, I don't think that this damage is fatal.
No, she's gonna either Shoko's gonna repair it almost completely, which I think that's less likely than Nobara running around with an eye patch from now on, right? Like she's lost an eye.
This just looks like really surface level like damage. Like I feel like
other than the eyeball.
Well, other than the eyeball. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, I don't really mean to say surface. It just doesn't look like that deep. No, I agree. No, I fully agree. Other than the eyeball, a la Dragon Ball back in the day, tambourine eyeball fly out. You know. Plus,
other than that, it does. It just looks like a, like a rip across the face,
Yeah. Because it's like, I mean, I don't know. I think there was some dialogue like earlier in the series that like where Gojo mentioned that Nobara maybe had like the best like Juryoku like control out of the three. Doesn't that sound like Sakura though? Didn't Sakura have the best chakra control out of the three in the beginning?
Yes, she did.
But
what a waste of that. Right? Like,
yeah. So maybe we don't have that in Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm just like replacing Sakura with Nobara right now.
No, I think you're right. I feel like you're right about that. Yeah.
So but we know that you can like reinforce your, because remember we were talking about how last week Nanami or Mahito made the comment about how he wasn't able to kill Nanami with one touch last time. And then when I go back to that chapter to reread it, there's dialogue that Nanami has when he's talking to Yuji, just like that. I don't know if that's the exact same chapter, but that time in the series where Nanami is talking to Yuji about how you can use your cursed energy to, reinforce your defense, basically. You know what I mean? Which we all knew that you could do.
Yeah.
But I think Nobara being the person who he's trying to attack after thinking about Nanami in that scene where his spiritual defense was high enough to survive the tap is information that we can use to assume that she'll make it out of here.
Agree.
Plus Mahito's ability, its potency is relative to how long he's touching somebody before triggering the idle transfiguration, because when he does it to Junpei, he's got his arm around his like shoulder, just touching him consistently the whole time. When he's when he did Nanami, he had his hand on his chest for a fat minute before Yuji walked in, and then obviously he exploded right here. It's just a tap to the face, a really quick light tap, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like a graze.
Yeah, like a graze.
Get it. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? If this was Overhaul, she'd be out of here. You know what I'm saying? But Mahito, I feel like, has a channeling time for potency. And also, like, if I'm keeping it a buck, it kind of looks like Nobara is like hitting herself.
Yep, the motion on her hand.
Yeah.
That almost tells me that she ripped her own face right off. To take away, like, it's like a disease, you know what I mean? Or like spreading. So it's like rip it off so it stops,
And she didn't know if it would be effective entirely, so she said goodbye to Yuji beforehand. But is really just like, okay, it's kind of like when you get like bit, you've seen zombie movies, you get bit in like the ankle, so you chop your leg off, you know what I'm saying, so that the zombie infection doesn't spread. Maybe that was like her last ditch effort to see if that would be effective, and she stole off herself. Wow. To try to like detonate the damage before it spread. I don't know, but I really think she's okay. Like, not okay, but I think that she's definitely not dead.
Yeah. It's so hard to picture a main character dead, even in this story, which there's very high stakes. Like, it's just so hard to see it. So I really don't think so either. But that was similar to kind of what I was saying last week. Like, I really wanted to just tank it and do some hard
you said you wanted to stab herself in the eye with the nail. This is pretty close. This is pretty close to that, bro. You kind of killed it. We'll see next week,
But I could also see this panel. I mean, she does kind of got a fist, and it is like downward like this, like she did.
Look at the motion lines on it. You know what I'm saying? It's just moving. Like, and plus, whenever Mahito uses idle transfiguration, it's never like we've never gotten like this illustration of a never gotten this illustration
impact.
of an impact. You know what I'm saying? It just it inflates, and then it does a couple, one of a couple different things, but like this specifically, I feel like is new. So
yeah. I mean, it could just be that it's just the way that M.A.N.G.A chose to draw it this time, and it is like maybe wanting to like give us a little more to see why she's actually like flying backwards, because it looks like she's flying back, and like that the fist right here could just be just how her hand is at the time. So I mean, it could definitely be either way. I I do want her to have done something. I don't want her to have just survived it by it being a graze. Like I didn't get enough hand on it. There wasn't enough channeling time, like you said.
Yeah.
I really hope that it's either her Juryoku reinforcement, like you said, on the face to block it, or just clean punch her out of her face off.
Yeah.
That's the most hard body option.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Fuck yeah! Wow. I'm really excited for the next chapter. We get Weekly Shonen Jump on Friday this week, so that's fucking amazing. We're gonna get the chapter and the episode on the same day. Ooh, let's fucking go.
Yeah, and it's always nice if it comes out on Friday to not come out on our tie-in week.
Yes.
Yes. Convenient.
Yeah.
Very convenient.
Convenient for us, definitely.
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's all I got. Though.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's hard to.
Yeah.
I feel like
we talked about everything that we needed to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely.
Sure.
All right, moving on into Chainsaw Man, Chapter 88, Star Chainsaw. And not a whole lot of meat and potatoes to this chapter in regard to discussion and conversation, I feel like.
It's just a great time. This whole chapter is just, you just love it. Every page you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, this is just a visual feast of paneling, contrast, movement, explosions, impact.
The paneling really pops. It's like the way that Fujimoto positions panels during action by like connecting them to really feel like the simultaneous action is happening. It's just amazing like how these panels are. And
this is
like,
some of the best paneling I've ever
separated.
seen in manga.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like
this is
there's just
beautiful.
There's so many like diagonal panels and like there's the Retse shooting up is just one strip, like
so
it's
good that Reze
yes,
it's like a spaceship like going into space.
Phenomenal.
The
next page too.
Yeah,
the next page of Retse carrying
the spear
him.
Too.
Yeah, and the spear.
But that's what I'm saying. That paneling, it's just this diagonal. Thin, two parallel line box, whatever.
The direction of the art is taking me in multiple different directions, and it's all like one cohesive movement. I feel like I'm navigating myself throughout this chapter and being taken along. It's very immersive, the way that I can really feel myself in this comic.
Yeah.
And so I love... go ahead.
I was going to say, we do get some plot confirmation, I would say, here. Like, say when Power died, right?
Yeah.
And Makima was like, bang, And at least I was like, hey, can we maybe think that this is all a dream? And Makima, didn't kill Power at all. And that was all just some, mental thing in Denji's head. No, she literally does, since she beat the Gun Devil. And, views herself to be better than the Gun Devil, controls the Gun Devil, and literally has the Gun Devil power, right? Bang, bang, bang. Yeah. Like, she literally has this power, did literally get shot up in that scene or whatever. And so it's like, but like, it's pretty tight that she's like, just shoot the dude literally to space. Bang, bang, bang.
Well, and what that makes me think about is that, so yes, it seems like if she does view herself to be superior and... and I speculated before that she has to actually win a battle against like a hybrid or whatever. That I don't really know so much if that's the case anymore, because if you remember the Darkness Devil, she pointed right back at him just the same and stole his ability, and it's like, does she really consider herself, superior to the Darkness Devil? Which there could be a lot of reasons why. Like I think that like being a primordial fear that maybe even though it's this very 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 powerful fear that dates back to eternity basically, like even
control
still,
is a primal fear too, I feel like.
I mean I think
it very well could be for sure
very well could be, but the thing I'm even thinking about is that it's I don't not inferior, not prehistoric, like what am I looking for, just like
archaic,
primitive. Like it's a primitive ability versus hers. Like that's why she can view herself like, okay, darkness is so primitive versus my control ability. Like I get so much I can do with control, which would make sense why she now has this fucking stockpile of powers. Like how is she smashing people this whole time? You need that.
Another thing that makes me think of is that, like, say the relationship between darkness and control, right? You can use darkness to control someone. You can keep them in the dark. You can put them in a box and make them afraid and fuck with them mentally, right? You can control can use darkness. Darkness can't use control. Like, what would that even mean? Like, darkness is darkness. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So like there is a relationship there, you could say, where control is like by itself, like superior to darkness in the sense that it can use it, you know?
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's really good. I love the fucking flamethrower fuel tank face, you know?
Dude, I love that. That's very Oddworld to me. Feels like Oddworld.
Yeah. And then talking about Retsei, you know, going, I just loved how she grabbed him by the
the entrail scarf.
The entrail scarf.
The umbilical cord scarf.
I just love that panel in particular. You know, you get to see, it's like the Bomb Devil face. We've got to see it a lot of times. Like, it's not like this is anything new, but just like, I don't know.
My favorite character design in this entire series.
Yeah. It's so good to just like look at that and get a, you know, just another close look at it. It just really reminded me how much I really love this character design.
Baby 5.
And
Baby 5.
Baby 5, yeah. Yes. Missile
girl. Nuko girl.
So Chainsaw Man in space.
Before that, just one quick thing. I mean, this is for you, Nick, more than anything, is the spear throw, right? Because you're not as much of an Evangelion, you know.
Okay.
The Lance of Longinus, bro. Like, I saw it right away, and I was just like, man, that's so fucking tight.
Oh, so sick, sick. Yep.
Yes.
And I love the motion illustration technique that was used to show the spear devil like launching it in that top like triangular like panel. Like, that's so Fujimoto, but it like feels like old like Hanna-Barbera, like Western, like Looney Tunes like era, like you know, like Joe Tex like type, you know, cartoon and illustration, like animation, you know what I'm saying? Like when they would make their like legs would like move real quick before they like, you know, just like a blur, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, and the way that it's so like big and like the way that it's shaped just reminds me of the West, like in that panel. But
for sure.
Yeah. What's weird about it is that the spear devil does have it in his left hand, and it looks like he's throwing it from his right hand on page 7. I don't know. Maybe that's just some like, maybe he did a 360, and that's just kind of how his body like wound up at the end. But that did feel a little awkward to me.
That is weird.
We'll say that he threw it with the left and then spun around with the right and threw it again with the right. I don't know. That one I might chalk up to a mistake. That's fine.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like someone in our comment section is gonna like come in and be like, actually, and then it's gonna be like,
this is how you throw a spear. That's just how you do it. You clearly never thrown a spear before.
Javelin thrower. I actually took the bronze in Greece throwing the javelin. Javelin. Oh yeah. But we can, you know, we got Bang 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 next, so let's talk about him up in space, which is beautiful.
Banged him to space.
Did you? Okay, so you before we get to the throw down into Earth or whatever, do you find any significance in as he's pulling out his heart?
Yeah, what's the point of that? Do you guys know the point of that?
Well, he's gonna literally suffocate and die in space. So he's like, I'm just gonna take my heart and throw it back to Earth, and then you see the heart grow back up to Chainsaw Man.
That shell is dead.
My God, I didn't even put together what was happening at all.
Yep. Yeah. So like on page 14, for example, you can see the heart slowly growing.
Yep.
Because he's regenerating, right?
Yes.
But my question was going to be
that's on amazing.
On page 12, when he's ripping out the heart, the heart
Pochita.
like it is Pochita, but it certainly doesn't look all that much like Pochita.
It's just the eye.
Just the eye,
because it did fully like merge. His heart and Pochita did fully merge, so it should be looking like a heart, an organ, and a heart that took
with
on,
eyes on
you know,
it.
just some properties. Pochita's.
It's got some bumps on it, maybe like kind of legs that have like gone away, or maybe there are arteries on the heart or ventricles or whatever heart terminology is.
Ventricle is right.
I love that he does the exaggerated fucking pitcher throw.
Yes,
like,
bro.
No pitcher throws his legs up that high, but in every fucking anime, if they do it, like they got that foot exactly fucking
literally
vertical.
perfect 0 degrees. Like,
Yep.
dude, I didn't even see that he was. God, dude, I'm so bad at looking at these pictures sometimes because it's like I didn't even like see. And I feel like I went through Chainsaw Man kind of quick.
It's easy to do this week too.
Yeah,
it's
I
really
feel like
easy
I
to
went
do
through
this
Chainsaw
week.
Man kind of quick.
This is like a movie, this whole chapter,
I'm like
yeah.
getting my mind blown by like the things that you guys have like pointed out here. It's like these things are so obvious now that I look at it while talking to you guys, but like for some reason I could not make out what pose this motherfucker was making in this page.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sitting here like, oh my god, he's definitely throwing his heart back, and he took the ultimate pitcher stance to launch it.
Yeah.
Like, and then he grows back from the heart. Like, God, I'm so stupid.
Right.
But that's why I'm glad I got you guys here.
Another cool thing about this chapter in terms of the visuals, Makima's face. She is just having a great time seeing Chainsaw Man obliterate everyone. When he takes out his heart, and she's like, he removed his heart? Like, she's on the edge of her seat, like, whoa, damn.
Yes.
And then, like, he uses the chainsaw chains or whatever to wrap them all up, and everyone else is like, whip, eep. The spear, gack, flamethrower, gack, and she's smiling. Like, yeah, he's got me.
She's definitely like a dominatrix or some shit.
No, she's a sub then. Well,
she's sub right now. She's sub and dom at the same time.
Yeah, sub to Chainsaw Man, but a dom everyone else.
Maybe even like some masochism like peppered in there.
Maybe,
she.
But dude, this black whip scene, black whip paint, like this is so like Deku versus Shigaraki right now, but like way more ruthless, obviously.
You can see on the page, on page 16, the one I was talking about with Makima smiling, whatever, that bottom panel of Chainsaw Man, like you can see the motion, you can see the force of him whipping these chains up to him. Come here, get over here. You know? Oh, so sick.
Yes, dude. Wow.
And then obliterates them.
With this page,
a pose we've seen before.
Yeah, this double page spread that's like totally a homage to his fight with the Bat Devil. Maybe I don't know if
same.
I don't know if the Bat Devil is the only time he's taken this pose, but like this is literally like maybe the fact that he's fighting in this stance or in this pose is like indicative of like maybe Denji like regaining control again from the situation, because he hasn't like his fighting style throughout this arc while he's been in this form hasn't been as posy, you know what I'm saying? Like he literally just teleports to a new location and everyone behind him is turned into ribbons, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there's no stance, there's no crouch, there's no knees, there's no form, you know what I'm saying? So like maybe that's what Fujimoto is trying to tell us in this panel, is that Denji is like kind of like starting to come back. Maybe that's because of the taking the heart out and throwing it and regrowing from that heart. I don't know if that trying to grab threads, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be like y'all. but yeah, man, I don't know. I that would be my guess, my only predictive guess for this chapter.
Yeah, the Bat Devil is so insignificant that I just can't see any tie here, you know, and definitely, you know, we all thought about it, try to look at it. It's just like I don't know. I couldn't find anything, you know, that would be significant in any way. I do I don't know. I just Makima being so happy is great. It just you know, these are, and obviously she doesn't care, but just I just feel bad for all the Japanese lives that you know, like are dying because she's just like, this is so great, just chop me up all you want because it's hilarious. I love it. Not hilarious. It's like I just adore this so much. Like I adore Chainsaw Man so much. I am honored to be chopped up by him. I don't give a shit about all these Japanese people getting sliced up, you know. But I mean, I assume
raggedy bitch.
You raggedy bitch. But I assume it's just like, you know, Hawkins too. It's just somebody walking down the street. They're cut in half, and there's now two races of them laying on the ground.
I could even see that fate is slightly adjusted so that someone's walking down the street and they get hit by a car and they get chopped in half by the car, right?
Oh yeah.
In the same spot that Makima got cut, right? Like it's an equivalent exchange somehow. Just society of Japan just makes it happen somehow that someone gets like when she was getting shot a bunch, right? Like someone got impaled or whatever, right? But I guess at the same time at the Kyoto scene where she got shot by guns, those assailants with the guns just had bullet holes in them. It's not like something happened to them that made them get bullet holes. So maybe it is that they randomly someone's walking down the street and they just become two pieces and they're dead.
And being that you're bringing that up, it's probably not random then, right? Like, because she actually reflected that on her attackers. So, like, you would assume she's choosing the person who's getting this fate, or you know, like that's even crazier. Because
that she's not even trying to do it to Chainsaw Man is what's crazy. If this is like a real fight that she's in right now, then like why wouldn't she? Like, she's clearly obviously trying to fight him, so why not use that reflective damage? Well, yeah.
Because she can't. I don't think she can against a devil, and even so, even if she did,
Chainsaw Man is not a Japanese citizen. Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, not Chainsaw Man. Denji is, and he is no longer Denji at this point.
Presumably, I guess. Yeah.
Or he's coming back. Or he's coming back. Or he's on his way back. He's on his way back to Denji. It could be on his way back. No.
Well, yeah. I mean, Denji has a social security card or the equivalent in Japan, where Chainsaw Man does not. Puchita does not have a social security number or whatever the equivalent in Japan is. So yeah, that's the way I'm taking it. Like, you literally had to be a Japanese citizen because, you know, I mean,
the authority was granted by elections and the law, and so only literal citizens would be the only people affected by that contract.
And you always hear about how your social security number in your card is just basically stock for your government to use for value, things of that nature. You know, that's going a little bit off the rail, of course. That's a big conspiracy theory that they say. But yeah, like that really would, you know, make sense to me. That in this case, it's like you have to, you know, be worth number, something, you have some worth or whatever to the government, which you have to be officially one of their citizens for that to apply to.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
But damn, great chapter.
Yeah, incredible chapter, bro. I literally I'm probably going to reread this chapter another 6 or 7 times before the next one comes out, because this is just beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Like this Earth, bro. This Earth fucking panel.
Yeah.
Like the city panels versus Retsei and everyone else, amazing.
Yeah.
See, these Earth panels and these long distance panels, you can tell these are drawn. You know what I mean? Like, but say that say that Dr. Stone, that we were talking about this the other day, like the Dr. Stone ship over the ocean. That was like a picture computer, modified to look like a manga panel. It wasn't actually drawn.
Chill on my man Boichi, man. Chill on Boichi, man.
No one's gonna draw that whole double spread ocean panel.
You seen him in the lab drawing it?
No, but it didn't happen.
Come on, man.
Same thing with UQ holder, like their solar panels. Outer space panels are just way too crazy to be actually hand drawn.
Right, but the ones in this chapter, you can literally tell, like these continents are hand drawn, and it looks tight.
I love the technique he used on the very sketchy yet uniform, filling. But perfect
makes
line
it look
work
like
everywhere
elevation and like mountains and shit like that, like subtle topographical.
We didn't talk about it either, but like Chainsaw Man using the actual chain of the saw as a whip or whatever rope or
black whip.
Like we've seen it. We've seen it before because Beam when fighting Retsei, Beam was basically saying, back in the day, Chainsaw Man before, because Beam knew Chainsaw Man, but before, that's why he loved him so much, of course, and he was, which was so crazy to find out that he's actually like one of his generals or whatever, the choir of angels, whatever. But he in his mind, he had his own, like, this is how Chainsaw Man uses a building. He uses like Spider-Man. He was fucking whipping from fucking building to building with the chains, and then Denji did, no, I'm gonna ride you with it, and like just use it as a saddle on Beam, which was
funny as hell.
Funny, but a little anticlimactic, but funny as hell still. But just to remind people of that if they forgot, that was
right. Denji has used this technique before.
Not to this efficiency, obviously.
Not anywhere near as cool as this, but
So do we think there's gonna be much more to this fight in particular now that all of the weapon devils have been neutralized, at least in a simple way, like they've all been cut up or whatever at this point? Do we think Makima's just going to regenerate and retreat, or do we think are other of the 4 horsemen going to appear anytime soon, or is that too early?
I think maybe next chapter we'll get like the ultimate like showdown, like final attack from all of these weapon devils. They'll like regenerate here, some shit. and then they'll do like a combined like Voltron Power Ranger attack against Denji, and then they'll get scraped, and then introduce the Four Horsemen maybe after that.
Yeah, I think Makima there's going to be some theatrics behind her getting like her resurrection, whatever, her fixing herself, because we don't really ever get to see it happen, right? And I feel like this is a good time to finally see it.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll get that. And as well as, but these devils got to be they might have to be fed blood in order to regenerate.
Sure.
I don't know if that's the case. You know, it's always so weird because it's like, okay, I have X amount of blood already stored as a mana fucking bar or whatever, you know? So like maybe they can just, come back without being fed blood like this time, or, how many times can they be chopped up? Because just the fact that Retse was, I feel like her being chopped up is just maybe a little bit more significant just because she's a more significant character and means something to Denji. That I think that there will be, I don't know, I can't say there will be, but it's very possible that Denji shines through Pochita to see Retse, and there is some kind of maybe contention within the inside of Chainsaw Man at that point. But
it looks like Denji's starting to come back in this last panel, man. So we might get that scene.
I'd be okay with that. We might need my boys back.
Yeah, we might get that scene. But also at the same time, as far as like these weapon devils being neutralized, I'm like, for some reason, I'm sure it won't happen like this, but I'm picturing like one of these devils that are cut in half feeding another one its blood.
Oh, sure.
That other one fully regenerates, then feeds its blood to the one that gave it its blood.
That'd be
to
some
regenerate.
fucking teamwork.
That'd be awesome. Then they continue that cycle until everyone is regenerated.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's a question I was talking with Marnikins and stuff earlier.
Yeah.
So let's say Chainsaw Man eats one of the weapon devils.
Yeah.
Right. That, like, let's say that he eats the spear devil, right? Spear devil is literally gone, and spears as a concept erased from reality, right? What would that mean? What if he ate all the weapon devils, right? And weapons cease to exist in the past, right? So, for example, like Kishibe, he didn't know what Nazis were. He didn't know what the Holocaust was because Chainsaw Man ate the Nazi devil, which made the Holocaust and Nazis never happen. Didn't happen in reality. What would happen if like he ate all the weapon devils? You know what I mean? It's a big question.
Then
but like
those weapons
you
go
can't
away,
you
like
can't
you said,
get from point A to point B. Beginning of history to now without weapons.
Without weapons, how did you win your wars? How did you win
how
your
did that
fights?
happen? Y'all just beat the shit out of each other with your hands?
Then maybe a lot of the wars didn't exist. I mean, because that's Makima's goal. Like, she wants Chainsaw Man to eat all the weapons. She wants Chainsaw to eat everything evil. Like, as long as we believe what she said, which is always hard to do. But
she wants to get rid of war.
Exactly. So
the other,
exactly, like eating weapons might effectively be eating war, right? Like, or at least, a lot of wars. It might not erase war completely, but especially the bomb devil. You get rid of the bomb devil, you virtually get rid of a lot of war. At least common
modern
the
wars.
The wars that were like primarily centered around that weapon will have ceased to have existed. Maybe.
Yeah.
But wow,
crazy to think about. I think we should all
that is
keep that in mind.
Very
I want to see.
Point.
I want to see a devil get eaten on screen. I mean, we were talking, was the Hell Devil eaten, right? Because then Chainsaw Man cut up like that centaur kind of Hell Devil, and then you see Chainsaw Man in Hell eating an arm that looked a lot like the arm of the Hell Devil. Yeah. I want to see this ability get activated because it's hard to do for Fujimoto, right? Like, it's hard to completely rewrite existence in a manga. I think it's easy to mess up. I think he can do it, but I really want to see it happen.
Yeah.
To see like, how does this work, right? And maybe hell is right now not even a thing anymore. But like, it's hard to imagine that hell going away with how much that would impact devils, that it wouldn't be a big change from the beginning of the manga to now, right?
Right.
Like, you think something would change, but anyway, I need that shit.
Hell yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Sure.
That's all I have,
man. Yeah, I'm good too. All right, so getting into the next chapter, which is Mashle, Magic and Muscles. Chapter 34. Where's the title? Here we go. Mash Burn Dead and the Survival of the Fittest. Color page is incredible.
Color pages.
First one is amazing with him looking like he literally got the fucking dust knocked out of him. And you want to know what, bro? Going through this chapter again.
Yeah.
Aren't there like kind of a lot of speech bubbles that seem like they're coming from this doll that Abel is holding?
Shoot, man.
What if Abel is this baby? Yeah.
What the hell? There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there is a lot of them. Yeah,
that's crazy. I did not even notice that at all.
Some are coming straight from his face, but like that's not really indicative because the doll's not on the panel when that's happening.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like, the speech bubbles that are coming from his face, there's no way that it could come from.
And this dude's mouth is never open when he speaks. Abel's.
Dude, you are blowing my mind right now. Like I totally did not pick up on that at all. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like say page 21. Page 21.
Yeah.
The speech bubble arrow, how are you not a puppet, is literally pointed below his face.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his mouth isn't open. It's crazy. I didn't even, oh my god, that's wild.
Yeah. That's
a lot cooler than what I was going to say, which is a joke, obviously. So page 1, we had a Smash Brothers reference in Jujutsu Kaisen. We got a Smash Brothers reference here because this ability is Mario Ness.
Yo.
But I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Oh
it's like, wait, where are we? I was like, how? Where the hell is the Smash reference? I was
literally typing my notes. I was typing notes, and I typed Mario Ness. And it made it Mario Ness in my auto or whatever. So I was like, oh, that's hilarious.
Mario Ness, yo. Hilarious.
I'm sorry, everyone.
But yeah, bro.
I'm not apologizing. I'm apologizing to the audience. I'm sorry.
I like this. I like this theory.
Mm-hmm.
I want this to be true.
No, I very much like the theory. I at the same time, I guess I would prefer if Mash is literally beating the stuffing out of the real dude.
Yeah.
And not like some puppet and the real body is in the doll or whatever. But I like the mystery about it for sure. Like that makes me very curious to see the next chapters about this fight.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I like the dialogue exchange here. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say just a good breakdown of this puppet magic and how it works.
Yes. Yes.
It transforms the exterior only, makes a shell around it that looks like a puppet, and that's what he's controlling. It also blocks brainwaves, so you can't you're not supposed to be able to force your way out of the doll thing, but inside you are still.
That's the scariest. That's the scariest.
Yeah, super scary. Yeah.
I'm very claustrophobic too, so
that
would be the worst.
I would just die.
But your brain is turned off though. Your brain is turned off. You know what I mean? So it's not you're probably not afraid. You probably just can't do anything. I don't know though.
Yeah.
But I love that he goes for his coin, pulls out a cream puff, and then they go in this whole thing about spinal reflex. And
dude, I love it.
If you touch the cream puffs, Mash is gonna kill you, punch you in the face, even if he can't think at all.
Yeah. It's a twitch response. It's his instinctual movement. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
And I love how when he drops the Mario Ness second harem puppet, or harm puppet. I mean harm puppet. But okay, right? So he's got 3 lines. So this is his second spell. Yeah. Are we going to see the third spell?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like third
thirst.
Yeah.
Thirst.
But I love how his reflexes, his reflex feats in this chapter are ridiculous. So when Abel is wondering how he wasn't turned into the puppet, when the ultimate attack or the second spell hit him, the explanation on that was amazing.
So good.
Put the arm up higher than the rest of the body, so as soon as you feel the strings connect, before they connect to the other part of your body, you can chop those off. Then you get connected again and chop the other ones off with your free hand. Beautiful.
Yeah, so
God damn it, that's so fucking good.
Such a mash feat.
This is such a mash feat, but this is. I always try to think of the dynamic in the series that. I always try to put myself in the try to think about what the mangaka is thinking about. You know what I'm saying? It's like when it comes to this dynamic of these physical feats being used to outdo these magic spells, they've just been getting more and more creative over time. It feels like this was the concept or the dynamic in the story that the author was like did this for, you know what I'm saying? Like they're most exciting, what they were most excited to give people, like the dynamic they were most confident in is showing how MASH is going to get out of these magic.
He thought about strings. He thought about how could you get out of a strings ability like that, right? And so we got the fingers breaking, but also like, just rip off the strings. But how do you do that? And you know that he thought of this before any of these chapters got drawn.
Right, exactly.
Like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Like you're probably like sitting there, sketching, doing rough drafts, concept art, you know what I'm saying? And like thinking about the story. And it's like, okay, so I'm going to put MASH in a whole bunch of like situations where the audience is not going to know how MASH is going to be able to get out of it. Guaranteed. You have no idea. Like like what explanation is going to be given for why MASH did not get completely obliterated and destroyed. And he probably just has a whole bunch of notes like, okay, MASH in a string situation, MASH in a, he'll do this,
a bunch of fire,
MASH in
a bunch of
literally,
water,
literally no plot, just situations for MASH to get out of, all over his desk, like all over, you know what I'm saying, the wall, and then whenever he gets to a point in the narrative where he just and just start grabbing sticky notes.
The filing cabinet.
Let's
go to the Puppet Master section. Pull one out. That's a great one for this chapter. Thanks.
So I don't know if this is maybe countering the theory of the little doll being his actual consciousness and Abel himself being not, but like, okay, so page 19, the bottom panels. And I thank you for showing, and it shows the doll is fucking
the doll reacts.
Oh my god, I'm getting blown up. The doll reacts. I'm getting blown up.
Wow, that's
and so
another.
Then you get to see.
Hold on,
that's. Then you get to see,
go, keep going.
Well, no, because then you get to see Abel, and you really get it's two panels basically focusing on his eye, even though one's a little farther. The before and the after the doll's reaction. So, which makes a lot of sense because he's got the crosshair eye or whatever, basically seeing through. I feel like he's seeing through his dolls, right? Like he's actually seeing through the doll, whereas, I mean, maybe that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really know if that's like countering the theory at all, but
I think it's helping it. The fact that this doll is reacting the way that it is.
Much more emotionally.
Much more emotionally.
That doll reaction is way more emotional than Abel.
Abel's reaction.
Quote unquote Abel,
Yeah, well, I mean, that the next panel after that, I mean, it does look stunned. That's part of the facade, right? Like he's not trying to let people know that he can see through them, that's and so he doesn't want to let anybody know. But just the fact that he has crosshair eyes there, like it seems like. And actually, let's go. I want to go back and look at the marionette puppet, whatever, marionette puppet. Okay, that does not have crosshair eyes, but. That's the thing. It's like that would make sense that he's seeing through all of his dolls. Like especially if like his vision is separated into basically 8 quadrants between the 2 eyes, right? You can see like a spider, 8 different. And on the page 19 bottom middle panel with this doll that is reacting, the doll does not have the crack in the left side, which we're looking at the left eye. That the doll Abel is holding has. So that doll has a very big crack under the eye and across and through the eye. And so what we're seeing in that bottom middle panel is the reaction of the harmful puppet, the second level, bigger puppet, that big, centipede, 3-headed puppet.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and
wow.
Abel has referred to that doll as mother. Yeah, throughout this. So like, I mean, that it's just all something to think about. Because like I said, I don't think it's countering any theories or really support. It's just something to think about. Because you can go either way with it, and it's definitely interesting to see. It's just he got the knee to the face is so hard for me to see like a wizard surviving that, not survive, like he'll survive, he's gonna die, but not be clean out of the fight. And then I mean, after this pile driver, if he fucking gets up, like he's definitely not in that body. Like how do you get no fucking magician? I don't even.
That's a tombstone. That's a tombstone. That's not a pile driver. That's That's what's his name? Undertaker's ult.
Oh no. Tombstone's a reversal. Tombstone is like your faces face each other.
Oh so you're right.
That's a real pile driver. That's a full pile driver.
That's an actual pile driver.
I don't remember which wrestler actually used that, but that's probably 70s. Who knows? That's way before. But regardless, he's getting fucking smashed into the the gravel is breaking. Whatever the ground is breaking.
Yep.
Like. If he gets up after this, he can't be in that body, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
Though another idea I had: what if he's doing ventriloquism, and he's trying to make it seem like the voice is coming out of the puppet to be that much creepier, that much more mysterious? Maybe
they both talk back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Like Abel will talk 1 second, Doll will talk another second.
Yeah.
Just to add to the levels of misdirection.
But then why hasn't Mash like commented? If you think if that was going to be a plot point, you think that Mash would have been like, that's weird that both of you guys are talking.
You're right.
I do agree. I do agree with you there that like I think he would comment. And so either he just hasn't picked up on it, or it's not a thing. Definitely. Yep.
Another thing I thought about is let's see. Before he does the second spell, so that's page 15. But I can absorb power from these puppets, power that is mine to command. That feels like there's people in those puppets, and he's sucking their fucking mana directly out of people. Which that was my question last week. Is this an ability that he's channeling, or is this something that's supplying him energy? Like, is it is that
was a good question you had last week. I remember.
Because I was thinking, is it possible that even though we'll just say that Abel was channeling mana into the puppets and not the reverse, which we know is not the case anymore. But if that's what he was doing, then sure, he could just have like some kind of big giant ass fucking attack where they all just open their mouth and shoot a fucking energy beam out. Who knows? something crazy like that. But yeah, like, I mean, so you could say there's people actually in these puppets, or you could say the puppets are just representative of like they're batteries that that the energy is being stored into.
Part of the spell is it creates a doll that is nondescript, but the person is actually another location, but the magic energy is being directly teleported to these dolls as batteries. Yep, definitely. Could be.
So. Yeah, we'll see. I bet we'll see. We'll get a lot of answers next chapter. I feel like, unless we cut away for some reason to somebody else. Like, I mean, I don't know. Lance,
I could see that happening, though.
You know, it's possible to go see what Lance is doing, because I don't really. I mean, he won his fight, and then what? You know, like.
What is he up to?
Yeah, we don't know. So, like, it's very possible it could cut away from this fight and just leave us, with a cliffhanger for a week, I guess, on the end of. But it just. With three, like you already mentioned, three lines here. How are we done at a second spell? Like,
can't be. There's definitely an ultimate ult that's coming.
Maybe this whole thing is the third spell, though. Like the dolls being harnessing the energy, getting the energy sucked out of people into the dolls. Just this whole fucking thing to be able to do all this may be the third spell to begin with. But, he could also, it could actually be him in this body. He did get smashed in the ground and he's knocked out, or not knocked out. He's just fucked up. And like, all right, I need all this power to like rejuvenate my health too, not only my mana. Yeah. So it's possible, but
we'll see. Love this page 25. This like, it looks like to me, the like karate shoulder martial arts shoulder bash attack.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Doom,
that shoulder that you see in like everything. They like.
Yeah.
I can't even.
Could also be a punch, but
that's the thing. It's like I kind of thought it was a punch too, but then
it's gotta be a punch.
I just feel like, but it's like, why don't we get I guess you don't need that. I just one little. But hey, that what you said before to bring us to your point. Isn't that just a lovely thing to say? On page 25, like 25.
Yeah.
25?
27 pages total. Like,
that's a big deal.
Yeah. It's just,
and this art is just so crisp. This dude is not slacking
in the slightest. He is not playing games at all, dude. This page, page 16. This page 16 with the marionette second harm puppet.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like all the way from top to bottom. Look at the giant like marionette like puppet like master like marionette holder.
Yeah, which I kind of thought of as a straw doll man, right? Like
sure.
Kind of felt that way, But yeah, I mean, that's about all I got.
Yeah, me too.
Great chapter.
Incredible
lot
chapter.
Of pages.
A lot of
very
pages.
Pretty. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
All right. So, getting into Black Clover, chapter 267, The Devil Binding Ritual. Go nuts, guys.
I will say, we're pretty negative on Black Clover a lot of the times on this podcast, and I think this is another chapter where it's very justified to be negative, right? Like, this is very standard cookie cutter, talk no jutsu, yes. Kurama, Naruto world, have a demon that lives inside you. You gotta be friends with it or whatever. Like the whole, there's a lot in this chapter that did not really hit that hard for me.
There are a couple things that hit pretty hard, but overall, I am not very head over heels in love with this chapter. I mean, obviously, you know what I'm saying. We can see good. The art is incredible as usual. The choreography inside of the fight is amazing. I love how right away as soon as the fight starts, the anti-magic devil says, "Gimme Demon Slayer." So this is something that we were talking about last chapter about. There's no way he could possibly fight him with anti-magic. So that's cool that we get that, but then it's cool like the choreography, like with him sending the Demon Slayer down, Asta kicks off of the flat side of it, rushing towards him with some kind of shit in his hand, or maybe I don't know what that other impact illustration is on his hand.
I think it's the ground too. Like
he might be pushing off the ground.
He might be pushing off the ground. That's a really interesting angle and position to put the character in. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really fucking cool. I like how Asta kind of like has the light bulb go off. Like, yo, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this like something that we're not supposed to be doing? You know what I'm saying? And then Noct answers this question that has been on everybody's mind. How the fuck are they going to get strong enough to do something about this situation in such a short amount of time? And I love how he's like, did you really think
how Asta is going?
How Asta, it does only
just
answer.
Ranted at these people in the Black Bulls for like 30 minutes, like just berating them and saying, "Get stronger, noobs." What do you mean they can't? You just said they can't. What do you mean?
Unless he has a devil binding ritual that he wants to do with everybody.
No, he doesn't.
I don't like that, but
and the people are getting trained by elves. Like, getting trained by elves not a decent method? You can't learn it like.
Yeah, the elves are definitely, the elf training is definitely going to give people that are training with the elves more of a boost than they would have normally got in 2 days.
And I'm not saying it wouldn't. But Noct is like, what? Did you think there's some way to just get stronger in 2 days? Legit? We got to do something not legit. We got to do something bad. We got to do something forbidden. It's like, no, you clearly don't, or you are talking nonsense right now.
Well, I love how he addresses it. I love how he addresses it and says,
no. This is classic Black Clover saying a thing that sounds cool if you don't think about it at all.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm trying to be nice,
I was like,
man.
oh yeah, damn. Like, yeah, he's right. Like, there is no way to do this. And then I thought more. I was like, wait, no, there's like 3 other ways to do this. You know what I mean? Like, there's certainly ways to do this.
Yeah.
But there shouldn't be in the first place. But it's hard.
So
it's hard. It's hard.
I would like to say that we were kind of on the fence on whether this was in like a Zangetsu world, or that's the term we use on this show. At least I use all the time. And it's not. It's not the case.
Yeah.
This devil is actually in their physical plane. This isn't another plane.
That is.
But he has dialogue that says, "You came into my space."
That's
who said that?
The devil, the anti-magic devil did. Yeah, he said, "You walked right into my turf. It's not going to be just your right arm this time. I'm taking all of you."
Yeah, that's a good point. My turf. What does my turf mean exactly?
Well,
especially if he's being brought to the physical realm.
You could take it multiple ways.
Yeah.
But you could still take it as multiple ways. Like, even if so it could be like a little bit of both, right? Where like, okay, you have these glyphs on the ground that you're encircled in. Neither of them can get out, presumably, right? And so like, you're bringing him to this world, but at the same time, you're bringing Asta to his. It's maybe like a little bit of both. Meet in the middle.
It's like we're in the physical space, but like you have done this ritual that temporarily separates us. So now you're interacting with me as if you were in my domain, just because of that temporary separation. But we just so happen to be in a physical ritual area in the physical.
Yeah, it has to be that, because you can't, like, it doesn't make any sense to be able to bring a devil to this plane so easily, right? The whole, like, half the story, half the manga is trying to stop rituals that bring devils to our plane. And if it was just easy, just be like, I'd like to make a contract with you, please. Oh, actually, no, just go ahead and kill me and go nuts, right? Like, no, like, that can't happen. So, like, this has to be some sort of, like Kiko was saying, like a transitionary, like, you know, 1.5 dimension where, like, you're in between 2 dimensions and neither of you can really leave or go to the other person's dimension, but it's not like the devil's not really here. I don't know, like,
and it kind of like made it seem like when he was saying, like, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, this isn't, you know, this is shady, you know what I'm saying, are we doing shady things? Are we doing things that we're not supposed to be doing? And then it shows this panel by itself of, you know, these hooded figures which looks like they're sacrificing like 3 like goat looking winged horrors.
I'm just saying they're subjugating devils. That just kind of really hammers home that this space, that's what this is for, because like, this is, he's probably got, this is probably right above the mantle or whatever the fuck. This is the main fucking focus of this entire room full of fucking skulls. And
so then Asta is complaining about the legitimacy of this process right now because Noct kills the person if he loses to the devil, so that the devil doesn't take over. Because that's what he's saying.
I think he's just a good boy. He's a good boy. We shouldn't do forbidden magic, and this is clearly forbidden magic.
Oh, sure.
Like a necromancer, right? Like a paladin is just going to be like, I think necromancy is wrong, regardless of how you're using it, right?
If you didn't take one step into this motherfucker's house and think that the magic that was going to be done like isn't forbidden, then like I don't know, like. It's like, fam. It's like, this looks like this dude's every single page.
He's naive.
Every single page of this chapter looks like the cover of a fucking Job for a Cowboy album. Like this literally looks like death metal album art. Like, how do you not know that this is
I think Tabata is going for, because like right at the beginning of the chapter, right? Like I got Gon vibes, and I mean, obviously you got to go, because Gon is so high on our level of shonen MCs that there's so many things about Asta that will never equate to Gon in my eyes. I assume your eyes, but this right away, like, thank you, you know, like during fights, you know, your power has saved me over and over again. It's thanks to you that I managed to fight up until now. Like, that sounds like something that Gon would say, you know, like, because I thought of like the Hanzo fight where you know, it's like, well, no, you can't cut my legs off, because if you do, I will die too. So let's find a better way to fight. You know, like, it's just sound. And so, you know, he's supposed to be naive. This is something Gon would just walk without question, into here. All right, this is training for me, bet.
Or him saying, like, the devil is like, oh, you're being really nice to a guy who literally, you know, took your arm, and Asta's like, well, that was the deal. Like, I've got no complaints. I agree to that. That's someone also that Gon would definitely say that. Like, I agree to that. Like, that's my bad. You know?
And then coming back to the end of, like, towards the end of the chapter, where he says, just because you're a devil doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that I can totally see, like, you know, a shonen MC saying, like, a Gon. You know what I'm saying? But like in this situation, it feels weird, and I don't know if that's because we have Sukuna over in Jujutsu Kaisen, who would never, like, we would never get a scene like this where Yuji says something to Sukuna that touches his heart in a way that makes him react in a way like, what are these human feelings that I'm feeling? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this talk? No, you know what I'm saying? Like, we would never, Sukuna would just be like, shut the fuck up, idiot. I'm going back to bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, get the fuck out of my inner domain. You know what I'm saying? Like, or, you know, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and so I don't know if it's that influencing, like, how unimpressed I am with, you know, the direction that Tabata is going with Asta clearly reaching through to this devil. I feel like devils should just stay devils. You don't need to be friends with them. Let them be shitty. Let that be a theme of your series, you know, that you know, I don't know, like, you need to, desperate times call for desperate measures. Not everything has to be a benevolent, you know what I'm saying, like, wholesome outcome. You don't need to be friends with every single person, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and we fall into this very often here at Project Manga, that we are grading Black Clover on this new age shonen grading scale with the Jujutsu Kaisen, with the Chainsaw Man, with the Hero, where it's like there's just so many different themes that were just not in the old shonens that came out. So it's like if you think of it as a Bleach or a Naruto, it's like this is par for the course. Like this is exactly what would happen.
And Tabata is clearly trying to cling to those old hat shonen tropes. You know what I'm saying? And stay in this lane, this very campy lane, this very mid 2000s. You know what I'm saying? 2005, 2006. You know what I'm saying? Like Bleach, Fairy Tail, you know what I mean? Like kind of like era he's clearly trying to stay in, which can seem weird when juxtaposed to the rest of Jump that is clearly moving in a more mature, complicated, like deep, philosophical direction. You know what I mean? So obviously it's going to feel a little flat when we are constantly thinking about these other series that are trying their best to redefine the genre. Especially like Chainsaw Man.
I think about it a lot because it's like, the primary demographic for shonen manga, is going to be younger. So it's like when I think of a fucking 13-year-old reading fucking Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm like, does this kid even understand anything he's fucking reading? Which would make you think like, how is this story going to sell? Which isn't the case because Jujutsu Kaisen is doing very well in Japan, and Chainsaw Man and these stories are doing well in fucking Japan. But like, shit, and maybe I'm just an American grading on America because it's like, man, 13-year-old kids I know, man, I don't even know if they know how to tie their shoe, like so. It's like,
man, I don't know.
That's the hard thing too. It's like these stories like Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, etc., are going to hit for us because it's just much more mature themes. Like it gives us a lot more to think about. Where it's like, Black Clover, you don't need to do all that, and I'm sure. But actually, that's not the case because Black Clover isn't doing as well. Like Jujutsu Kaisen outsells Black Clover, right? And that's.
And my whole thing is that, like, as much as negative as we are about Black Clover on this show and pretty much everywhere else that that I exist on the internet, like I don't like, and I can't help but compare, you know what I mean, like Black Clover to the other things that we review. You know what I mean? And I know what I love and need from manga at this point in my life, and Black Clover is just the title on the list that delivers the least to me. You know what I mean? Compared to everything else. So naturally I'm going to put it, below, but like trying to, like, from an objective standpoint, I don't think that there's anything really all that wrong with Black Clover. It's a very fun story. There's no glaring plot holes. There's there's things that I don't like, that I don't need in the story, that I'm going to put in like my top 5 or top 10 of what's ongoing right now. But like, that doesn't mean that I hate Black Clover. That doesn't mean that it's an objectively bad story. Like all of the complaints that I have really just come down to like annoying gripes that aren't really all that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? But like, this is just how I feel about the series. You know what I mean? And
for me, it just falls flat. There's nothing wrong with this stuff. It's like, for example, right? Like, page 3, the devil's like, you really are a total idiot, that's why I'm gonna kill you. And Asta says, I can't let you do that. It's like so inspired, wow, this is really high literature. Like it doesn't hit me. Like, what am I supposed to go, like, am I supposed to laugh at this panel? Am I supposed to be hyped from this panel? I don't feel any emotion from this panel at all.
That's a good point. And I feel like the devil's dialogue in this chapter and his behavior in this chapter is very underwhelming, considering its kind of like build up. Like back when it was like an entirely enigmatic figure that we literally knew nothing about, besides that it is the fuel for, or is the core of Asta's capability in the series, like lending him the anti-magic and whatnot. Like back when like that was like still a mystery, like when this character was still a mystery entirely, I was like, I can't wait to see what's good with that dude. And now we see him, and his dialogue is very like unbefitting of the enigmatic figure that we've known for 280 chapters. You know what I mean? It's like, and once again, I'm like comparing it to like Sukuna dialogue. Sukuna is obviously very regal. He's very, he just feels, like a larger than life personality. You know what I mean? And this anti-magic devil just feels like another character in Black Clover. He's just he just feels like a guy who's there to me right now.
So I do I do have a large theory about this devil. Right. So let's just go to the very end of the chapter. Right. In terms of the pages. Right. And so I'm talking about page 14. Asta is starting his monologue about just because you're a devil doesn't mean you're a bad guy, right? And this is really hitting the devil hard. Yeah. I think that I'm just gonna go with the most batshit version of this theory, right?
Yeah.
Asta is part demon.
Yeah.
This demon is literally his father or his ancestor. Their haircut is really similar, super, super similar haircut.
Oh, this woman.
No. The demon.
Oh, the demon. Oh, okay.
The demon and Asta look really similar.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do, for sure.
And this woman is Asta's mom.
Yeah, and I think that Tabata is making that very obvious, but I didn't want it to be the devil, loved, like, hi. You know what I'm saying?
We already have examples of, say, Charmy. Charmy does not look anything special. Charmy looks like a regular ass human girl.
Yeah.
And she's half or is a dwarf or is half dwarf.
Half dwarf. Dwarf. Yeah.
So just because you're half something, yes, you can have it be a half elf, and I think the half elves in this story, those like little kids, right? Like they look more like just elves, I guess. Like they have like big ears or pointy ears but like I think you could be a half race person in this story, be a half demon, and not have any special attributes.
Physically,
you might look like
externally.
you might look like a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
God, I can just see the dialogue now. It's like, I thought I hated all humans until someone said a very similar quote to me. Kind of looks a lot like you.
Every single person has said to me, "You're bad," and then this lady came over and said, "You're not bad," and I fell in love in that moment, and I knew I would do everything to protect her and her descendants forever.
It's like, well, guess I owe you some child support. I guess I can give it to you in the form of this anti-magic deal.
You can have your arm back, kid.
Yeah, you can have your arm back. I'll give you 100% of me to go fight these triads, and we call it even. We're good. All right, let's go get some White Castle.
Yeah, I don't.
Thanks, Dad.
Everything you guys are saying. The only thing that like really stands out, like that makes fairly good sense to me, is just so like, how does Asta know the devil's not really trying to kill him? And why is the devil not really trying to kill him if it doesn't, like, that part is kind of a little weird, but okay, I sense the key. The key's not malicious. It's not attacking me or whatever. Like, it's not really actually meant to try to kill me. It might be meant to harm me or swing at me.
That.
Exactly.
I like the key. Anytime they talk about key and Black Clover, I'm like, yes. Like, this is a very under talked about energy. Yeah.
Right. But also, like, Knocked. I feel like Knocked, if I'm gonna give Black Clover the most benefit of the doubt that I can, right, and try and think like this is like really maybe subtly cool. Knocked, I feel like, is being a little he's holding something back, right? He's saying no, fight it. Kill it. It's going to kill you. You have to fight it, right? But what if you don't? What if the devil binding ritual from the beginning, it shouldn't be about fighting and can't be about fighting, and you're supposed to become friends with it from the beginning, but he's holding that back because part of the ritual, part of the tradition of this ritual is
thinking your life is on the line.
Right, thinking your life is on the line and thinking you have to fight it, but really the goal is to become friends with the devil, right? I think that would, if they revealed that, I'd be like, okay, you tricked me on that one. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely good. There's a lot of panels of him, with the eyes closed, smiling. So, but then there's the one that does look pretty evil on page, 12 bottom. Like, what are you talking about? Your opponent is a devil. There's no such thing as devils with principle, or a devil with principles.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes sense too, because Asta thinks back to Zagrid and is like, okay, but you're nothing like the Zagrid that we had. Like, Zagrid was like super like evil incarnate, and you could just like tell in many ways, that but right away. Where this devil is just not like that. Yeah, I mean, you kind of tell actually.
Yeah, and in the bottom.
Oh, we've had the entire series. We've had hints that this devil is good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that makes total sense. Like, that to me makes sense. Now, does Noct know that? I doubt it, but Noct could know it somehow. There's clearly named devils, so like you can know that this guy has the devil named this, and she has the devil named that, right? So like the devils are named. You could probably know who they are based on shapes or magic powers or something. So he might know about Asta's devil, like he might know the name of the devil, he might know that he's actually a good guy, but definitely we as the reader know that this devil is actually good in some.
And I think we have a lot of evidence in this chapter from Asta sensing the key, saying that the devil is not trying to kill him. Nox's reaction to that is not surprised. Then during this dialogue where Asta is saying he's not actually trying to kill me, I can tell from his key. Then Nox says, what are you talking about? Your opponent is a devil. There's no such thing as a devil with principles. That's what you're supposed to think. Then the devil laughs when he hears that, because the devil knows too that Noct knows that he's not. So like they both have the same understanding. And then, and then the devil in the next page continues on with the lie. Like, that's right. Every devil out there is a total scumbag. You know what I mean? Like if Noct and this devil both know that this is all a lie, or this is all a front, then it's like, I don't know. Tabata like could really blow my fucking mind away with the next chapter and the explanation, like making all of this shit not weird. I definitely hope that he does, because I like want to be excited about this series again. But like as of right now, with the information that we have and the way that I feel about it, just based on like my opinion of the chapter, it's like this is a very disappointing chapter to me.
Here's a question for you.
Until further information is given.
And I agree with that too. Here's a question for you. Thinking ahead to maybe a couple chapters in the future, after Asta has eventually gotten this devil to be his, complete ally, what will he get out of this? Right, the devil is able to telekinetically control the sword, at least the demon slayer or whatever. Why can he do that? Like, he's an anti-magic.
Asta already could do it. Asta could already do it.
Asta can already do that too.
Asta can already do it. Plus, like, the anti-magic is constantly coursing through and radiating from Demon Slayer. So, like, I would assume that he's just manipulating his own energy, and the sword just so happens to be there. It's like an extension of
yourself.
The sword just so happens to be
so it's not so weird that the devil can do this.
The sword Demon Slayer just so happens to be completely engulfed in this character's energy. So when he moves that energy around, the sword comes with it.
Here's the really weird part that there's going to be impossible for us to figure out today, but these are licked swords.
Yeah.
In case you guys remember, these are licked swords.
Yeah. Asta's mom was an elf. Beep. No.
It's Ichigo here, but a devil, an elf, a human, whatever.
A Vizard.
Dwarf, Super Saiyan. But it's just hard to wrap my mind around how this is all going to tie in, like, especially because the way that this chapter is setting us up, like, this devil had, past experience with this woman who looks exactly like Asta, and like, Nick, your theory is very, very possible.
God, I don't want him to be his dad, bro. Literally, so
he doesn't have to be his dad, I guess. Phone. It could be that just Asta's mom is a previous devil host. But like Asta's mom was a previous devil host.
Yeah. But why does the devil have Asta's haircut?
Yeah.
Because I talked about that last week. Is that this is just a representation of the devil, which is
this is just something to look at. Yeah. We've seen that. We've seen that before.
Yeah.
I've seen that in fiction before.
Just like Zangetsu.
And that's even that.
Not Zangetsu itself, but he had to fight the Ichigo that was like white faced and black eyed.
Yeah, we even see that like over in the West, like with the symbiotes inside of like Spider-Man lore. You know what I'm saying? Like there's. Like when the symbiote, like attaches to you, it leaves like a bit of yourself as like an imprint on the symbiote. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a vestige or like an imprint, a thumbprint of some kind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, that's all I have for this chapter. Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
All right.
I am also good. Yes. All right. Moving on to the final chapter for the night. We are rounding the discussion off with My Hero Academia chapter 287. What is
Mistake?
Where do you see that?
On page 2.
Oh.
or on the manga.
Oh,
Manga
mistake
Plus
right
app.
there. Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
God, Eagle is so much better at this than I am. Okay. So, chapter 287, Mistake. And wow.
Great chapter.
There's a lot here. A lot here.
Kiko, how do you feel?
I mean, I really like it, especially because, I mean, this chapter makes me feel more like my ongoing theory of All for One taking Shigaraki is standing more and more firm with each passing chapter, really. Yeah. I mean, we can talk about that, I guess, right away. I mean, it's like...
So you do still think that All for One is going to reclaim this situation and go back to being the main villain of the series?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think there's one panel in here that I think contradicts that, but go on with your.
I think I agree. There are a lot of things that are showing that in this chapter, and as the chapters that go by, like you're saying, that support that theory. But I also feel like at the same time, like that's just like what All for One is doing. What Shigaraki. How Shigaraki is responding kind of contradicts that.
Definitely. He attacks the master. He's like, oh yeah, you hate me too. Yeah. That to me shows that the next arc, Shigaraki's going to Tartarus to kill him. And or at least attempt to kill him or break him out.
Wild.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
That's I feel like that's the next arc.
Prison
or at
break,
least
baby.
Maybe and maybe I shouldn't say the next arc because I feel like the next arc has to be like a pick up the pieces arc, everybody's fucking broken.
Oh yeah, there's definitely got to be like a huge like self-reflection, like development, you know what I mean, like all of that shit. Like we think about what the fuck just happened to us type shit. Like a very similar situation as Shibuya going on in My Hero right now. Yeah. So a couple of reasons why I believe this. I mean, the easy first one is just where he says, "Is he the next in line, brother?" Like the first vestige asks him, right? Okay, Shigaraki, your next body you're stealing. Yeah, he's done this. He had to. He's 300 years old, right? Like, that's the other thing. Like, I don't want to go too crazy into just like the logic behind somebody who's 250 years old just giving away all he worked for to some other guy because no, I feel like you're worthy to take the mantle on this. Like that makes literally no sense. Plus, he clearly wants to come back into the fold. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be one thing if it was like if all of his dialogue was for Shigaraki, but there's clearly like, you know, underneath the surface, there's like All for One, like you know what I'm saying? So and so Tamura looks like the first vestige, so there's something there possibly. We don't know, but like the fact that Tamura's hatred is manifesting into the form of decay in One for All world. That Master All for One needs, or wait, One for All. Wait, what? Jesus Christ! All for One needs fucking. He needs Shigaraki. Not only, I don't think to just steal his quirk. He needs him completely. He really needs him completely because this is the only thing that's ever like put a dent in One for All world, right? Like it's actually manifesting here, and all the fucking decay is going to attack. I think this is One for All world, right? Yeah, I think we're in the One for All space right now. Yeah,
One for All space. Yeah,
or maybe
it's a shared space between both of them.
Yeah, but I think that they both came into the One for All space to share the One for All space rather than the All for One space.
Yeah, if you had to pick one or the other, I would say that, but it doesn't have to necessarily be one or the other. It could be just
an amalgamation.
These are the only two quirks. These are the only two quirks that are pass onable or steal. You know, like these are the only two quirks like this in the world.
Yeah. So, like, Deku says we are inside One for All.
Yeah.
So we're in the One for All space. Yeah.
But so yeah, I just think that he can't just steal Shigaraki's quirk to attack, you know, One for All. In this world, he actually has to have all of these things that lead up to who Shigaraki is, you know, like and the tie with Nana. Like he actually had. See, that's the thing. It's so hard to really like make both of these things true. That Nana's relation to Tamura, Shigaraki, whatever, her relation to him being as significant as it is, because obviously it's a blood relation, and that would make sense to like his little crack, his little break into One for All world, because you get to see these quirks being passed on it makes all the sense in the world that like the consciousness goes with him. At least a part of the consciousness goes with him.
Yeah.
So like that makes it really feel like he actually needs somebody related to a vestige of One for All in order to break into One for All world. Sure. Like with the hatred, with all these things that have like culminated who Shigaraki is, he needs him as a whole. He doesn't just need to steal the quirk. And I think that this is something that him and Eggman have figured out over time. And you know, I mean, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like that Eggman knows exactly what One for All's master's plan is, but that, you know, given the information and it knows that like this is something more is needed, because Master has now we get confirmation that he has killed every single other user other than All Might. He's tried to kill All Might twice and has lost twice. But he has killed every single other one, which I really hope we get to actually see that happen. I hope we get flashbacks on like these you know, confrontations, you know, with the previous vestiges. But obviously, you know, all the other things we've talked about, like he's a top tier manipulator, as you get to see in this chapter. Like he's really trying to break Deku down. And so once we get out of here, Deku's not broken only physically but mentally as well. Yeah. Which would help Shigaraki to win over and actually, because this whole goal was to steal, you know, All for One. He's
manipulating Shigaraki and Deku at the same time in two completely different ways, like simultaneously. Like that is a huge like showing of what kind of character All for One is. Like we already have this idea of him like from the All Might, you know, arc where he literally fought him and we got all this All for One information. And when you look into like what like makes a villain such a serious threat in a story like this, like charisma, manipulation, you know what I'm saying? He's definitely very cult leader vibes, you know what I mean? And those are the traits that they need to convince people to drink poisonous Kool-Aid and die. You know what I mean? So I love how this enhances the I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but like just like the detestable vibe and like nature and out, you know, and aura of All for One.
Yeah, and I also thought a lot about so Nana's quirk is float, and she and Shigaraki is her grandson. So where does decay come from? Float definitely doesn't evolve into decay. So it had to come from you know, the grandfather's side, or I mean, I guess it could come from the other grandparents, whatever. It could come from, you know, this is you know, I guess we don't. It's his
There's three other people it could come
grandmother.
From.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of people think All for One gave Tomura his quirk.
Yeah, it's. I personally don't, because it's just like
how I feel about that. I don't too much, but I do remember hearing that.
No. Because All for One found Shigaraki
after he killed his
parents, right? After he killed his parents, right? Presumably, like I think
maybe this was a theory from before the.
I don't think so. I've seen it fairly commonly that was a theory. But
you have. Okay, so you have seen that. I'm not tweaking.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. But no. I mean, you could also just say like, okay, obviously that was meant to be off screen and doesn't show that fucking, you know, he gets the quirk from you know, All for One.
I don't think that theory is contradicted by anything. I just don't think it necessarily flows all that well. But but it could be true. Yeah.
And I think it just contradicts with, you know, my ongoing theory that like decay, his quirk is needed for this, like for this is the sole purpose of him, that Shigaraki has decay and that Shigaraki is related to Nana. Like those two things together give him the ability to attack the vestiges directly in, you know, One for All world. All for One world.
One for all world.
One for all world.
That's what Deku says anyway.
I should just
the shared space, the shared vestige space.
The shared space.
The shared vestige space. Yeah.
Definitely.
But I like how keep going. Sorry, you're still.
Well, I was just saying that's really all it is. I think a culmination of all those points. Just I think it really hammers home that, and it doesn't necessarily mean that Master is going to win. Tomorrow can come and kill him. Yeah. And he could lose. I still think that.
You think there's equal setup for both possibilities?
Exactly. Well, and before I wasn't. I was so sure that Master was taking the body over. But with these chapters, you know,
I remember seeing your progression of like, no, it's definitely like this, and then like, well, now Shigaraki's starting to show us some things. And I remember us having that conversation, and you feeling better and better about Shigaraki coming into this like number one villain spotlight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's no matter what, it's always going to feel awkward to me because it's like I gave the example, I think maybe last week, that Master's a Lex Luthor or maybe that's not even a good one, where like Shigaraki's a Joker, where it's like we're like Joker, it's like clearly Joker's going to round up fucking a bunch of psychotic people to be under him, but like once it's time to be at the round table and fucking make big power moves across the whole earth, like Shigaraki just doesn't seem like the guy that's going to be able to get all that shit done. Like Mastermind, plans against nations, against each, it's just like hell, that seems so far out of his capability now. Yeah. But now the fact that he can steal quirks, I don't know, maybe he steals a fucking brain quirk that makes him
hey, Nezus.
Yeah, sure.
Hey. I would like to think he already has like several brain quirks. You know what I mean? Like clearly, you pick those up along the way. Like that's a great quirk to have.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't say equal, but I would say it's about more of a 60-40, like a 40% chance. That
whereas
Shigaraki
before it was like a 10-90.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. So going a little bit towards the end of the chapter here, we see on pages 14 and 15 that they come out of the shared vestige space, and they're clearly both spent here. You know what I'm saying? Like Deku's body is completely broken. It looks like Shigaraki has reached the limits of his regeneration abilities. They're both looking pretty fucked up right now. And we have this dialogue here that says, "Don't black out. Your body must achieve completion. Retreat, take stock, and live to fight on." Right? And Deku is like, "Shigaraki, please don't start moving again." So they're both. This is a stalemate. Officially, like they are both, and I feel like this is the best way to end a conflict like this. A lot of people might think that this is anticlimactic, but I mean, like, it just wouldn't make sense for Deku to outright.
If you thought it was ending here, that's just crazy.
Well, I mean, like, it could still end with Deku outright defeating Shigaraki and then him escaping before apprehension.
Sure, okay,
and then and like that, I feel like we don't need yet. I feel like the time for Deku to beat Shigaraki is in the moment that it actually matters in his overall 100% defeat in the series. So I feel like we need to save that moment for, otherwise you're going to do it twice. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, Deku would lose here, but Deku doesn't.
Deku has room to grow. Yeah,
Deku has room to grow. Deku doesn't need to lose here. Stalemate here is fine because he has, there's plenty of examples of consequence and stakes throughout this series that Deku can learn from. So I feel like this is a great way to end this situation right here. This was actually the preferred way that I personally wanted to see this conflict or this confrontation end, was in a stalemate. So I'm very happy here right now.
Yeah. I agree. I think this is exactly how most of us pictured this happening. I mean, maybe not exact, but a stalemate. Like, it's just because it's just going to make so much sense for, obviously the heroes need to retreat. I mean, you still have M.A.N.G.A with all the fucking villains coming, which we see here, which obviously that's the easy call that Dabi is, on his Toya shit right now. Yeah.
But the main point that I just wanted to like throw out there is that, like, even though it's a stalemate, like no one won, both of them are still going to view this as a loss, which is going to trigger development intensely inside of both characters, Shigaraki and Deku, because Shigaraki's goal was to get one for all and then go on about his business. He didn't do that. Deku's goal was to defeat and apprehend Shigaraki, which he didn't. He wasn't able to do, and there's losses on both sides. This is going to feel like a massive defeat on both ends, which is going to be great for their characters and their growth between now and the next confrontation. So
for sure.
The having to retreat and get the rest, to complete his body. Shigaraki has to complete his body. He's got 75%. Like, does that happen over time? Does he need to go back up to
how much time?
Machine?
Does he need technology, because the technology's cooked?
Right. Yeah. I kind of got from this that it's a time thing. Yeah. Like he really
time.
He was in the tube, and the tube was probably like, keeping him alive, and maybe even enhancing the speed of the completion or whatever. But it's probably just a matter of time until he's fully complete.
Sure. So
because otherwise they know that the lab is destroyed. All for One knows that too. All for One has a better idea of this process than Shigaraki does, even though Shigaraki went through it. You know what I'm saying? Who knows how much the doctor told him? Maybe he does have a good idea of what's going on here. But the fact that everyone involved knows the lab is destroyed, but All for One is still saying, go get the rest of your completion in your body, means that it has to be a time thing and not a technology thing. So,
but it could be where he says, your body must achieve completion, retreat, take stock. Take stock might be, how could you do that? How would you achieve completion of your body? Your stock is missing one Dr. Eggman, and you got to go get that guy back and get him back on your team, which might mean the next arc of the villains isn't attacking Tartarus, it's rescuing Eggman, potentially. I don't know.
Which is Eggman going to be in Tartarus?
Oh, yeah, he might be, yeah.
Yeah, that might be part of it because, I mean,
probably will
presumably, well, I mean, Stain's in there too. Like, it's very unlikely.
If Stain's in there, then Eggman's going there for sure.
Yeah, and it's just really unlikely that Stain doesn't get reintroduced in this story. Like, he was very, very, like, his ideology was very important to the story. You know, like it's just so hard to think that he's not going to resurface and be a prominent character again. You know, and it could be really cool. Like if Tamura does break into Tartarus, is trying to, okay, I need Eggman to finish me. I have to take fucking, Master with me too for whatever guidance, or just to kill him, whatever his is. And then, okay, obviously we're gonna take Stain. Stain was with us, and then like becomes like almost like a three-way battle, like and
I'd love to see that. We were talking about that months ago.
Yeah, Stain bounces out and does his own thing, because like I would really like a neutral faction, a neutral party. I just heroes and villains is great, but like I always love third party, neutral, something, some other, somebody throwing a monkey wrench into shit all the time.
Someone that like probably like Stain is the kind of person that like we could see potential in, as far as he's definitely like more open-minded than like your average like person in the society who like 100% conforms to the outlook of the establishment and just is like heroes 100%. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing wrong with them. Stain obviously, is a little bit more skeptical of that, but isn't entirely, like, you could tell in his dialogue in his arc that like he was just trying to do the right thing the way wrong way. Like he had a very good idea. It made a lot of sense, but he went about it in a really fucked up way that you can't agree with. You know what I'm saying? But just the fact that he shows that openness could mean that like throughout his time in Tartarus, I don't know how much communication he gets with All for One, probably none. I can't really remember if they talk to each other through the cell or whatever, but I know that they're like really close to each other, or at least they were shown close to each other.
Yeah, proximity,
so maybe, he's talking with All for One is like, yo, I don't fucking like this side of morality either. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe during the prison break scene, Stain sees something or has an exchange or some kind of event or experience with the opposing side that he thought he was allying himself with, seeing things that he likes even less than what he saw on the hero side of things. So remains a neutral party, but sees things that he likes in both factions and will, based on his own will, do whatever makes sense to him that isn't entirely aligning on the white side of morality and isn't entirely aligning on the black side of morality either. Or we could just flat out get a completely different Stain that helps the heroes, even though he still sucks, but to them or whatever, or to society. You never know. But
I'll say the hero dropped the ball big time if they let fucking Stain and fucking One for All talk to each other.
Yeah, I swear to God.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. But I mean, there's always a possibility too that One for All's ability could, I mean, that he can still have residual quirks that he could still use, right? Like, especially if he always planned for this whole thing, to keep going, that he, can talk with Stain telepathically, some other way, it's definitely possible that is, there's just nothing you could really rule out, with All for One right now. And that's why maybe, I don't know, even to clarify, it's like, I still really, really believe that his goal is to steal Shigaraki's body and to steal his being altogether. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen. Like, that's why I was like 60-40. Like, it's still very possible that Tamura wins that exchange. But I wholeheartedly believe that there will be that exchange. There will be, big contention on how shit's going after this arc.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think that we have a lot of evidence to support that, just in the interactions with Shigaraki and All for One. Also, Shigaraki's like solo internal dialogue in regard to like how he feels about the situation and like newly coming into this new All for One like you know situation that he's in, and like we've gotten like internal monologue where he's kind of like already fighting with All for One like by himself outside of the shared vestige space. Then we get the shared vestige space scenes, and it's just like so much evidence to support that Shigaraki is not going to let All for One do what he's trying to do, and that's going to create a major conflict between at least their two characters.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man.
I mean, we can talk a little bit about Dabi if we want. I mean, it's clear that this is what's being set up here. I mean, he's going to take down this fake hero society, of course, but like that's taking down the number one hero, obviously, and it's. I guess you can't take much. It's two panels, but like we know that that's coming. I just was wondering, like, is somebody going to do something about it? You know, like, is Endeavor going to die? Like, what's going to happen? I mean, we talked a little bit about it last week, like how we saw all these other students that are not there, that are getting info that, hey, this big fucking thing's happening over here, and we all need to get over there and help. So, like, that's probably the people who are going to, you know, interject in this conflict. But, yeah, I don't know. You guys think Endeavor's dead? Like, what do we got?
Man, I don't know if Endeavor's dead right now.
No. Well, I mean, just at the end of this.
When Dabi comes and rolls up and says, "I'm gonna finish this."
Five chapters from now. Do you think Endeavor's dead?
Man, I don't know. I don't know if I feel like it could literally go either way. I personally like. There's like 1% leaning towards the idea that Endeavor won't die this arc, but that's literally all that's separating my
the big thing for me as to why he won't die is because I could never in a million years. Maybe not. I don't know how Dabi beats Shoto, right? I just don't see it. Like I have no idea how Dabi would beat Shoto. Like that would literally make no sense.
Distractions, unless it's just ganged up on them.
Other things. That's all it could be. Is that if they all show up when only Shoto's there to defend. If it's 1v6, sure, you know. But like if all these students show up to hold Shoto down and Shoto gets a 1v1 with Dabi, I just don't see Dabi. I don't care how experienced he is. I don't care how like his flames have progressed. You know, his flames kill himself. He can only use so much of it. Right. And fucking, you know, Shoto can just negate most of it with ice. You know, like so, like and sure that heat could fucking be so hot that it's burning the ice, but he could still It wouldn't make any sense if it could just like totally just evaporate the ice like an Amaterasu from Naruto. Like it just burns anything to its core. Like that's not how
I can't see that either.
That's not how fire
even if
works.
It's blue. Even if it's blue and it's hotter, it's definitely not just like it takes some time.
So yeah, like I don't know. I mean, I would like Endeavor to do something big and go out and die, you know, something really crazy to you know, for some more redemption, but you know, he still could survive and get redeemed more down the line with some other things. But like, yeah, I mean, just definitely something that I bet a lot of people are expecting Endeavor to die. I would think.
I like that situation with Dabi. I mean, it's really just the only one that makes sense, especially considering how much the narrative has been leading us towards that, in my opinion. But I mean, I'm more interested in Toga right now, personally, coming from this chapter.
Of course, Toga.
She's like she's a powder cake. You know what I'm saying? Like she, after losing fucking, is that the phrase? Powder cake?
I don't know.
It sounds like powder cake. Powder keg?
No, powder keg. Powder keg.
Oh, is it a powder keg?
K-E-G. Yeah,
K-E-G. It sounded like you said powder cake.
Oh, is it powder? Is it a powder keg that's going to explode or a powder cake?
A keg.
Oh. Keg. I don't know why I thought it was. I don't know why.
Black powder.
Yeah, she's a powder.
Powder keg. Powder cake, baker's girl.
Yeah, she's a powder keg, or a time bomb. I guess is just a better thing that I could have said. But like
she's volatile.
Yeah, ever since losing twice, her character every time it's been shown has just been her showing in multiple ways how she's coping with that or how she's dealing with that. And, you know, in some of the scenes, she's just a ruthless murderer, cutting anybody that she comes across. In other scenes like this, where she has dialogue, she looks very not all there. You know what I'm saying? She is spiraling down into a very, very volatile position where we could see her completely blacking out and even potentially attacking league members. You know what I'm saying? You never know how like this kind of trauma could affect you. If that's the case, that's a huge wild card monkey wrench kind of situation potentially. But I have no idea. She looks like she's about to activate. Like she's about to go the fuck in some kind of way. And then we have this Ochako, situation here with her. And who knows how Ochako feels about Toga, because like I think she's got multiple scenes where she's tried to deal with Toga and didn't really perform like all that well, and then Toga gets away with like people's blood that she then goes on to terrorize people with, and that's probably like weighing on Ochako in a way like I could have neutralized you and you could be in prison right now if I was more capable in that moment. So I could see that tension between them.
Ochako does get the better of them when they're trying to steal Bakugo.
Yeah, in the forest, right?
It does the gunhead martial arts and like slams her or whatever. Yeah. So like that was cool, but Toga gets her blood at that time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
This is so huge because Toga uses Ochako's quirk when fighting the Meta Liberation Army. Once her fucking a quirk awakens.
That's right.
And what did we learn this chapter? Quirks can't keep the consciousness of the people that they're using. So what does that mean for somebody like Toga, who's copying people and taking their quirks? Like that's huge. Like
she's gotta be a person.
That's why we're showing Ochako right now, because it's so fucking important that she gets very deep into the psyche of Ochako. Like especially since like she's already, I assume somewhat already in there, by having her quirk and having her blood. And like that would make a lot of sense because it's like it's twofold. It's like you have their blood, which is DNA, which is fucking part of her, and the quirk, which now we see the consciousness is passed, it's genetic or whatever. And so it's just she's just definitely going to square off. There's definitely going to be some big things with Ochako here versus just two, and so also like Toga's lines of love are blurred, right? Like when she loves you, she wants to become you. She wants to kill you, and she wants to wear your face, but she wants to be who you are. Like and so she loves Deku. Yeah. Who else loves Deku? Ochako. And she now probably very well knows that. Like she probably has like this enhanced, heightened like sense of love for Deku that she even had before. And it's gonna be some, like they're basically going to be fighting for and obviously Deku is never going to love fucking Toga, but in Toga's mind, she probably could make him love her or kill him and become him. It's such a weird thing to try to wrap your mind around.
She could transform into Ochako and seduce him, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now there's definitely like you use the term quirk awakening just now. Now I'm wondering. Now I'm looking at this chapter and thinking about quirk awakening, and I know that that's like a common idea inside of the My Hero Academia community is like quirk awakening, and obviously you have Western comics inside of X-Men that have secondary evolutions. You know what I'm saying? That enhance your quirk. You know what I mean? To extra levels in some kind of way, whether you get a completely new ability or whether you unlock new zones and the ability that you currently have. But like now that I'm thinking about it, it's like the only times that we've seen like quirk awakening in My Hero Academia is inside of the villains, right? We don't have an example of quirk awakening on the protagonist side, right? So it's like maybe quirk awakening, because I don't know if we actually have confirmation of the actual term quirk awakening in My Hero Academia, or was that a fan made up like potential possibility for like a potential name for what was happening in My Villain Academia when Twice was suddenly... I remember
reading it on the wiki, but I don't really remember it being stated,
Yeah. I'm very curious to like probably like I'll probably like try to find time to like thumb back through the series and try to find an official like dialogue bubble with like quirk awakening in it, because now I'm thinking about it and it's like, okay, all of these villains all of a sudden unlock new levels to their ability, and it's like maybe that was just how the ability was always supposed to work and they just didn't know because they're not in school. They don't have a Charles Xavier or a Moira McTaggart, to show them what their quirk means and how it works. So like maybe it was just like, oh, this, I can do this. You know what I mean? Like just like in a moment of extreme stress or development, like when you reach a new, enlightened state where you're like, okay, I understand my quirk a little bit better now. Maybe it's a situation like that.
I would say though that like say Shigaraki, like if Shigaraki was at UA and had his quirk, I mean like he would never.
How do you train that?
Well, I just don't think that the teachers would be like, oh, look, your quirk that is incredibly busted, broken, amazing. Try doing it at a distance, you know? Yeah. Like, I just don't think they would do that, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think the questions they would ask is, okay, your understanding of your quirk right now says that you have to touch someone with all 5 fingers in order to activate decay. Are you sure that you absolutely have to use all 5 fingers in order to activate decay, or is that just what you think you have to do? Because that makes sense to you based on your history with the quirk. Then you start trying to do it with 4 fingers, 3 fingers, 2 fingers, 1 fingers. Oh, you don't need any fingers at all. You know, I mean, you need to touch the ground or whatever, but you know, you never know. I don't know, but it could just be a situation like that. But
well, and so the only 3 awakening, I believe, are Shigaraki,
Toga, and Twice.
Toga and Twice. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I do fully believe that yes, anybody can awaken their quirk and take it to another level. I mean, how far? Who knows? You know, like, especially like, what does it mean for somebody like fucking Shoto? You know, which is. But
is it like an upgrade? Is it like you get new things, or is it you just get deeper in the bag and find out more about it? Like, is it one quirk that can do all of the things you'll ever be able to do, and you're just that it'll ever be able to do, and you're just finding out more about what that maximum potential is? Or is it your quirk is complete right now with your current understanding, you've unlocked a new level that gives you more added, like some kind of crazy genetic situation happens inside of you that changes your
like
DNA.
Your genes actually
your
change.
Genes actually upgrade. Yeah.
I imagine more like the first one.
Me
too.
Like,
so then is that an awakening at all, or is that just a realization?
Could always transform and use an ability. She just never thought to do it, or never like unlocked that aspect that like, not only can you transform into someone, you can transform into them and use their DNA, aka use their quirk or whatever.
Right. So like, is it really like is it? I think it's more so just a realization than it is like an entirely really, like you're an evolutionary situation inside of you, or a genetic thing where you're upgrading.
It makes sense that the first thing is I don't know. It felt more probable, but now each one of these, all 3 of these people here, awakened their quirk or whatever. Their quirk has evolved
when in the same arc at the same time when they're basically
but when
dead.
They were virtually dead. When they had no other options, like they were literally dead, and it's like that would make sense for like some kind of evolutionary thing to tick, and maybe it does turn.
It's like a fight or flight response.
That like your genes may actually alter in that.
Yeah, you look like you're trying to get in there. Yeah. What you cooking up?
So let's take this theory that a quirk awakening is taking the genes that you have access to, right? Yeah. And unlocking their full potential. And let's say Dabi is Toya. And Toya's father is Toya's mother is the same mother of Shoto. And so he has within him genes that could do ice powers. It's just that he doesn't have access to them. What if he gets scraped by Shoto and unlocks ice power?
Yo.
That'd be a good villain to
that would be an epic way to let everyone there know that Dabi is Toya. You don't verbally say it. Sure. All of a sudden, I just have ice now. And Endeavor and Shoto are like, bleh, you know what I mean? Like, that would almost be better than saying, like, I'm your son. You know what I'm saying? Like,
who did Dabi fight in the Meta Liberation Army?
Fucking Getten.
He already has the ice and has been holding it back. I don't know, something about fighting Getten.
He got hit by a bunch of ice and then realized, like, wait, this feels familiar in some way. Like, I feel like I can, maybe if I do this, you know?
Oh my God.
Shit.
That's because like I'm saying, I was like, there just makes no sense that Dabi would able to even try to fight Shoto. Like, I feel like Shoto would scrape the fuck out of him if he just has blue fire. Like, I just don't think it should even be close. But this makes all the sense in the world now. Like I don't think anybody said that shit. I don't know.
I don't think so either. I've literally never heard that before.
No.
Oh, you heard it here first, baby.
You heard it here
Project
first,
Manga. Come on, man. We in the bag, man. You know the vibes, man. Go out here.
It's fun to think about anyway. It was
a group effort. I can't tell. No, Nick started it at
least. Oh yeah. I think that.
All he did was click in my mind that he already fought an ice user before.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah.
Holy moly! If that's a thing, that's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Did you guys have anything? Are we good? I don't think I have anything else I want to talk about in this chapter.
I just wanted to say one minor thing that the dialogue in the One for All universe space with everyone talking. I thought the whole dialogue from All for One Master saying like, y'all fucked up. You gave the quirk to a loser. This kid is trash. Like you gave the quirk to the wrong kid. And that would hit really hard because, we've talked about that a lot, and the Mirio, plot line and stuff.
Yes.
That's a really, I'm glad that All for One did say that and like really shake Deku with that. But then immediately the brother's like, no, this kid has a level of heroism, a level of trying to save people that just defies common understanding. We all are fully in on this Deku kid. We think this kid is the shit. And I was like, that
I love
slapped
that.
Both ways really hard.
Straight up.
Yeah, me too. I agree because like a term you hear in sports a lot is intangibles. This player has intangibles that we can't measure. That and it's just like intangibles is such a good term for what this is. Like, it's like you got something that can't be measured. There's nobody here. There's no fucking metric to measure what's going on in Deku, and only us vestiges can really feel it. Like we know what's in here and it's cooking. Like that feels really good. I agree, and like it really even hits a little harder too because of what fucking Master's saying. Like, oh, this is the pathetic, incompetent Nana Shimura right here. Like, why is she pathetic? Why is she incompetent? Like she had to have
blown it like way bad in like ways that we don't know yet, like back in their history.
Right.
Yeah. Which really hammers home like, hey, all these vestiges really feel what Deku's got that is intangible to bring to a hero that is needed, that All Might just had a gut feeling on. Oh, he did this thing that, like you have to have as a hero. But like, it's like, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have, acted when they knew that the odds were way the fuck against them. They have a very, very good chance of dying, especially when you're in the hero world. I'm sure All Might has seen that more than one time. Like that's not the first fucking time he's ever seen somebody, put their body in harm's way and sacrifice themselves to try to save somebody, especially in the hero world. So it's like, there was something that the vestige, even though All Might never had that connection like Deku has, there was something inside of him, these vestiges that pushed him at Deku, even more so than just surface level what he saw at that time. So
for sure,
I like that a lot, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah,
My Hero Academia, man, doing some crazy shit right now. Definitely chapter of the week.
Chainsaw Man was tight to watch.
Chainsaw Man was tight to watch, but I mean, and there is obviously, information inside of the story, inside of the visual storytelling, inside of the art that gives us, potential insight into certain things. But 15
fucking words total on the
page. It's tough to give chapter of the week to that. But My Hero Academia, crazy world building, crazy development, crazy everything. 10 out of 10, brick of scores.
Yep, let's go.
Well, everybody, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did, let me see if I can do this right. Okay, so thank you all so much for watching. If you did, make sure you hit that comment section and let us know what you thought about this week in Jump. Make sure you slap a like on this video and hit that subscribe button and hit that noti bell so we can chirp you when new content is online. Also, make sure you visit that link tree down in the description so you can see us on all of our other social media accounts, online communities, including Discord, ways to support the Project Manga podcast, including our Patreon, which is where you're going to see a gang of exclusive content, for you guys in a list of different tiers, ranging from early access to all of our videos, all the way up to an entirely separate weekly Shonen Jump podcast that focuses on the other titles that we don't cover on this show, including Undead Unluck, Jigo Karaku, Kaiju number 8, and Phantom Seer, currently with Dr. Stone coming soon. Also, down in the description, I think I missed something, Spotify and Apple links to ways that you can consume the Project Manga podcast on audio-only platforms. But with all that being said, this is going to be another incredulous, fantabulous, stupendous, astronomically amazing episode of the Project Manga podcast. Wrapping up, I'm your host, Noxie.
Peace, y'all. Let's kick off.
And Nickums.
Shut up.